Hello and welcome to Fresh Face Comics, the comic book podcast where a lifelong comic book reader guides his friends through the world of comics for the first time. My name is Joey Morgan, the aforementioned lifelong reader. With me as always is Jacob Licklider, the aforementioned newbie. I don't know what that intro was.
Nice.
You're right. Welcome to the 69th episode of Fresh Face Comics. This is it. We did it. It's over. The podcast is over now.
No, we haven't done Marvel yet.
We hit this. This was the goal, though. This was it. It's over now. Welcome to episode 69 of Fresh Face Comics. There's not really anything that noteworthy outside of the fact that it's episode.
It's 69, a funny number.
Funny number. But what better way than to talk about? I don't know, a Geoff Johns event. That wasn't a segue. That wasn't anything. Anyway, let's talk about Forever Evil, which is technically the continuation of our Justice League reading. But what is definitely is a continuation of our Justice League reading is the Justice League tie-ins to Forever Evil. So Forever Evil, it's kind of hard to talk about in a non-spoilery way without talking about the ending of Trinity War. While our non-spoiler section will not feature spoilers for Forever Evil, if you have not read Trinity War, we're definitely going to be talking about that. So that's.
However, I will say, just the more I think about it, don't read Trinity War.
That's true. And really, the book tells you all you really need to know about Trinity War. So.
Yeah,
there's that. And hey, if not, we'll just recap the ending of Trinity War for you right now. So Jacob, what is Forever Evil about?
So after the big twist that the new Adam is evil and working for the alternate universe crime syndicate, the world kind of immediately falls to all the villains of the DC universe, and the Justice League is dead, probably. Kind of spoilery, they're not really dead because
it's the Justice League, but yeah. Comics,
but they are dead, and the world's falling apart. So the premise here is, Geoff Johns had done a lot of character work with Sinestro by this point through his Green Lantern run, and he thought, I'd like the villain Lex Luthor. What if I made Lex Luthor the hero of having to save the DC universe and the Justice League?
How crazy is it that we're reading this and Joshua Williamson's Superman at the same time?
It is kind of crazy. Also, two very different characterizations of Lex.
Oh, very much so. But also two very good characterizations of Lex.
Yes.
Yeah. Lex is a great character in this, and he's sort of the main character of this.
At least of the event itself, not so much the tie-ins. The tie-ins. Yeah. You know what? Here's the thing. The tie-ins, in their own right, are kind of it's like little mini arcs of the Justice. By the end, one really strong 3-ish issue mini arc of the Justice League book.
But I really love, and I've seen but I really love, and I've seen a lot of praise for the first 3 issues of these tie-ins for Johns' handle on the Crime Syndicate as characters, because it's really those first couple issues are really great deep dives into those Crime Syndicate characters, or at least his version of these characters.
Oh yeah, they are. It's very weird. The two story arcs that make up the Justice League volume that we're reading. It's because they're so different. They're put together because they're tie-ins for Forever Evil, but Johns is doing some very different things, so they make for very different reading. Because a lot of this is also Geoff Johns' tribute to the Silver Age. Like the Crime Syndicate, I believe, was a Silver Age creation.
Yeah. Yep, and even more so popularized by the Grant Morrison run on Justice League. Grant Morrison did a big thing with them. That actually. So we watched some adapted material for this because Crime Syndicate stuff. The animated movie we watched is based on that Grant Morrison story. So.
That makes sense. That feels right. That movie is fairly decent. Spoilers for but I had some trouble getting to that movie because it's so clearly meant to be the Bruce Timm cast.
I saw your review and I feel like you got really caught up on that specific fact and it ruined your enjoyment for the rest of the movie.
I did, and it was just like something sounds.
Just watch it as its own thing. Let it be its own thing.
I was trying, but I couldn't. Okay,
you didn't try hard enough, you bastard. It's a good movie. Anyway,
it's definitely
more
it's
on
probably better than the
more on
next thing
that.
I'm going to watch, though that's not something for the podcast.
That's true. Wait, what are
Sure.
you watching next? Wait, I forget.
Well, just think about where I am in my Best Picture marathon.
I forget which one's next though. Fuck.
Oh, it's the big 4 hour one.
Oh, it's the big one. Okay, all right, never mind. Yep, now I remember. Okay, you're right. Yep, gotcha. Anyway,
Anyways,
let's
Forever
get into some
Evil.
Twitter questions. Let's get into some Twitter. Oh, start on Discord, I should say. From our friend Andrew, friend of the podcast. Andrew has 2 questions for us. First, which member of the New 52 Justice League lineup is your favorite? I mean, first off, Hal Jordan and Jeff Johns' Hal Jordan is kind of unbeatable. But Hal Jordan isn't part of a lot of Johns' Justice League runs, so I think. I mean,
Honest,
very topical because of the issues we're talking about. It might be Cyborg, to be honest.
it might be Cyborg. It's either Cyborg or Aquaman. Like,
Mm.
it also could just
I feel
be the that like their material in like Aquaman's material in Throne of Atlantis, and then Cyborg stuff in the tie-ins to Forever Evil, and then
mhm,
so Origin to a slightly lesser extent
mhm.
are so
I feel
is some
like
of
I feel like you'll
the
also
best.
like because we're doing some more Justice League next time. I feel like you'll also like some of the things that Johns does with his version of Batman in the next volume. So yeah.
Right, because there's
Mm.
some things that there's some things hanging in the air.
And
Uh,
also, I would argue. I mean, you see it at the end of this. I would argue Lex Luthor is kind of part of that lineup in a way. I
he's
might say
also
Lex, really.
he's also on the cover of the next trade and in the big
He
hero
is. He is.
lineup.
Yeah. Yep.
So
It's called Injustice League. So yeah. Anyway, Andrew's second question says, "Do you plan on reading other New 52 stuff like the Superman or Teen Titans run?" So we've read obviously a fair few New 52 stuff on the podcast before. We've done Scott Snyder's Batman, which we did all of. We're going through New 52 Aquaman and Flash and Action Comics. Other stuff in the future, I mean, we're definitely going to do Johns's the New 52 Green Lantern when we get to that in Johns's run.
come hell or high
Um,
water, I'm making this dude Gail Simone's Batgirl.
that
Like,
is definitely on the docket. That'll be there. I'm not a fan of New 52 Superman. It's not great. Which is obviously why I think I had you do Grant Morrison Action Comics instead.
comics, yeah.
I actually haven't read the New 52 Teen Titans run. I think I have the entire thing, but I have not read it. I have it in single issues. It was just kind of given to me, but I haven't read it. And there are a fair few other New 52 things that I'm a fan of that I would love to have us do someday. I'd love to have us do Scott Snyder's Swamp Thing that I'm a big fan of. That's a really great run. Jeff
We
Lemire's,
have options. We have options. I yeah. My
but
one
also
thing is
but also we've done a lot of New 52 stuff. So I think
yeah. I
I
personally want to
keeping
balance some other eras. Like
keeping a healthy diet of things we've read on both in the Marvel DC spectrum as we're starting to incorporate more Marvel into the podcast schedule, and trying to keep a healthy balance of decades across both companies, I think is important. So yeah,
yeah, like at this point, we
eventually
have
getting into
done
also
we have
eventually
done
getting into
like six
sorry.
decades worth of stuff now. Like
Mhm.
I think pretty
Yeah.
much.
80s, 90s. I
Yeah,
mean,
six.
7. Oh, okay. I guess not 2020s on the main podcast.
One shots, you have to do 2020 because it's current comics and we live in the current year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which is a great segue. Watch Fresh Face One Shots. We cover a lot of great comics on there. So yeah. Check those out. Anyway, back to our Twitter questions though. Our friend, let's go with Kian at Kian the Quark says, "Why is Forever Evil the best option for a third movie of a Justice League trilogy?" I agree. I think we also just need live action Crime Syndicate like desperately. Desperately, I think it should have happened a long time ago. Could you imagine like Henry Cavill doing Ultraman? I think that would have been fun.
I think that would actually get Cavill to really like flex and play against type. Like
That'd be honestly, yeah, especially like Superman did kind of typecast him, didn't it? And I love his Superman. I love his Superman desperately. But I think that would have been really fun if he did Ultraman. And same with a Ben Affleck Owlman, that would have been really fun. Or even
you know,
imagine like a Michael Keaton Owlman. I think that'd be fucking
you
awesome.
know where my brain went. You may hate this, but I
Oh,
think
what?
at least in terms of the actor, he could pull it off. Clooney. I think Clooney could
Clooney
be a
Owlman?
really
Yeah,
good.
that'd be fucking awesome. Yeah,
Like
definitely. I mean, not to say, of course, because we're gonna talk about Crisis on Two Words later. James Woods Owlman is fucking perfect. We all know this.
Yes.
But no, yeah, especially like when it comes to live action stuff, which I think is what Keen is referring to here. Yeah, I'd love to see some live action Crime Syndicate. So anyway, Ryan Reynolds power ring. I think that'd be perfect. Anyway, our friend Rules Panda at Joey can read this. One of the best things to come out of the New 52. Have you played a Lego DC Supervillains yet? It's loosely based on this story. I have not actually. I think DC Supervillains is like one of the only DC Comics Lego games I haven't played. I think is the only one actually I haven't played because I played the whole Batman trilogy. That's super fun. I should check out Supervillains someday because I hear it's really fun. Yeah, and also I did not know that it was loosely based on this story, so that's really cool. Give me Lego Crime Syndicate.
I am sure there's a Lego Crime Syndicate.
There's gotta be. There's gotta be.
Like that. I mean, there was in the original Lego Batman, there was Lego Nightwing, even though like that game in the story mode was mostly Batman and generic Robin that could easily have just been Dick, but
he was Tim Drake. He was totally Tim Drake. So, yeah. Our next question comes from English Giraffe at English_Giraffe. Says, even though I haven't read Forever Evil in a long time, I remember really liking it and thought it was one of the best things to come out of the New 52. Always loved the Crime Syndicate, especially Owlman. Yeah, I mean, wholeheartedly agreed on all points. I would say actually. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I don't necessarily think it's the best thing to come out of the New 52, but I think it's really solid. Like,
it's really good, especially as far as like because New 52 was big on event comics, kind of like every couple months. It's one of the best event comics I think they ever did. Not that there was like much great competition.
I mean, what helps is that this is one where Geoff Johns is actually engaged in writing the story that he's writing. Like,
yeah, Trinity War was such an obvious like company mandate story, and so seeing Johns really passionate about writing this story in particular is really nice. Especially when like I love you could tell like it's something Johns really wanted to do when like he went as far as to like completely advertise the event before the end of Trinity War happened as a secret society story because they had released that like promotional art from the cover of Forever Evil as like, oh yeah, this is the next event. It's like villains and all that, secret society and all that, and then they did the end of Trinity War and he's like, haha, surprise, I'm bringing back the Crime Syndicate and there's nothing you can fucking do to stop me. And it's the passion there is immediately obvious, and it comes through in the text. It's great.
Comes through in the text. Comes through in the characterization as well, because one of my complaints with Trinity War it was that our characters weren't always in character, especially the big twist villain.
Okay, look, the big twist villain was not even the villain that was not even the hero that you thought it was.
Exactly. That's
and all that said, I love her character here.
She actually gets to be delightfully evil, and
yeah. Well, it's why I know I had mentioned it when we did the Trinity War episode, and it probably was just my enjoyment of Forever Evil talking there. But I mentioned like I really love the villain reveal scene for her at the end of Trinity War, and you were like, yeah, it doesn't really work though, and I was like, okay, just give it time. You'll like her eventually, I'm sure. But all that said, she's definitely not going to be on
that scene doesn't work, but the character, like as Johns writes her here, works a lot better.
Yeah. All that said, though, she's definitely not going to be on the tier list coming up this year. So
no, get her off
that's reserved for heroes. Which honestly, Lex Luthor has a better chance of being on this year than her. So
yeah.
Anyway, our next set of questions come from our last actually set of questions comes from Jamie at Jamie_season7 says. Power ring ? With the image of the pterodactyls from Doctor Who's 1981 hit The Visitation standing around a Green Lantern. Look, we're losing here. We lose all the time.
We are losing.
Yep. But Jamie did submit an actual question then. Says actual question, but this is easily the high point of the run, right? Especially after how mid Trinity War was. I'm curious what you think of that as far as high points of Geoff Johns' Justice League run.
Honestly, because I was contemplating over because I actually only just really finished the last couple issues of this before starting. Honestly, this might be at least the 7-issue series itself might be my favorite part of the run so far. Like, I think it's eclipsed Origin.
I think it's close to Origin quality wise because I really like Origin still. I do also like Dark Side War, but that's not really on the level as like these two.
I haven't read Dark Side War.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Um,
We had a lot of comments of people being how surprised at how good this is. We also
yeah,
got one on
yeah.
Discord from our good friend Kevin, who
Oh
says,
yes, yes. Kevin
uh,
says, yeah, just unironically really like Forever You'll, which yeah, I mean, just kind of seems to be the sentiment. That people kind of recognize that a lot of this run, while good, isn't like fucking amazing, like a lot of acclaimed Jeff Johns stories. But no, Forever You'll is just kind of generally well liked, and one can see why. So
I can see why. I'd also argued like I think it works in a way because like as we actually get into spoilers, Johns isn't ashamed of the Silver Age origins.
mm,
There's some characters he also brings back in the tie-ins that shouldn't work, but they do. Like
mhm,
something so well, and
yeah, and on
also
Johns's. Oh, sorry, no, go ahead. You're good.
it helps that this. I said it before we started recording. The story has a conclusion. Like it
Which made
ends.
me fucking laugh so hard. But you're right. Like, yeah, it's like probably the first part of this run that didn't just end with a tease for another event. I mean, it kind of did, just a little
Edited.
bit. Um,
Like, well, again, one of the big problems with Trinity War was just the fact that it didn't end; it stopped.
yeah, it just
Um,
there was momentum there, and it clearly carried over into this. But yeah, it didn't have an actual conclusion. And
uh,
I will say
and
though,
I
on
think
your
stories need to end.
yeah, I agree. But I will say on your point about John's like love for the Silver Age that he's very much drawing on here. He kind of like he really really leans into the ridiculousness of it in a very different way though. I think here, I think especially to the way he handles the Crime Syndicate's origins when he tackles those. They're so fucking over the top and edgy, but like in that weird fun Silver Age way. Um,
it,
it's
it's
really
it's
enjoyable.
well, I think it's because there's this misconception of the Silver Age as just goofy fun, and like, yeah, it could be goofy, but the Silver Age at its heart, it, goofy doesn't mean it was being played for comedy. It was being played straight. Like
Mhm.
Johns is taking a lot of out there ideas and playing them straight,
Yeah.
and keeping the focus there.
I think
Once again, doing
especially I think
great
especially
character
the
work.
yeah, I think especially like the batshit thing he does towards the end of this with Superwoman comes across that way. It's so ridiculous and out there, but it's played sincerely, and it totally works. So let's
Uh,
actually talk about those things though, as we get
yes,
into our spoiler section. So if you're not joining us for spoilers, surprise, surprise! Next time on our 70th episode of Fresh Face Comics, we're talking about Volume 6 of Justice League by Jeff Johns, which is called the Injustice League. We're talking about
I
that.
honestly I was surprised when we read this that like I was surprised that there was a conclusion because with Volume 6 being called Injustice League, everyone's like, okay, this is gonna end and it's just gonna be leading into the next one.
Mhm.
And
I'll say that title definitely just kind of refers to Lex's involvement in the story.
yes,
Um,
it
so there's that.
does, but it does lead into the next one.
It,
But it
yeah, I understand
also
that. Like, yeah, the title does kind of make you feel like, oh god, it's not going to end, is it? It's,
it's
but no,
never gonna end,
but it
guys.
actually ends. And the end still leads nicely into future stories. But yeah, if you're not joining us, that's what we're doing next time. As always, socials and everything will be linked in the description below. I can't speak today. They'll be you can find those down there, as well as Amazon links to the books that we're covering this time and the book we're covering next time. And then after that, we're back to Marvel. We're gonna be back on some Marvel episodes after Injustice League, so be sure to join us for that. So in the meantime,
Yes.
let's get into some spoilers. So we're doing this in reading order. So based on my list here, we're starting on Forever Evil #1, if you can believe it or not. So
Yes.
let's get into this. First off, art by David Finch. We somehow neglected to bring that up that entire
I should have brought
non-spoiler
that up.
section.
Yeah.
It's all good. We're here. It's right at the start.
Uh,
Yeah, David Finch is on the art here. I forget. Have we
he,
done anything drawn by David Finch before?
I believe we have. He did some of
Oh,
Tom
that's right.
King's
He did. He did some
Batman.
other. He did what?
Didn't he do some
Oh, he did.
King's
He did do King's
Batman?
Batman. You're right. Didn't he also do? Did he do something on Trinity War or some other John's Justice League thing? Or am I misremembering that?
I
No, I'm
think
thinking Ivan Reese. Never mind. Mm, yeah, yeah. I
I'm
think.
checking it.
Yeah,
All I can see is
Tom King Batman. Yeah,
yeah.
I
All
think
I'm
that.
seeing is Tom King Batman.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, anyway, obviously he's a great artist. But yeah, he does some great work here. He does the entirety of Forever Evil, both interiors and covers, which is nice.
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah.
Gives it a nice consistency.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep. Yep.
for the entirety of the book and the event because this was a big event and we immediately start with
Actually,
Lex.
wait. Can I bring this up first? The
What?
fucking insanity of including Black Hand on the cover of this. What?
Oh yeah, well would Black Hand not have been back at this point?
Well, Black Hand was back, but Black Hand, this was after the end of Johns' Green Lantern. I don't think Black Hand was doing anything at the time, and I don't think he's part of the event really.
I mean, he doesn't show up as far as I remember I mean, there are a decent chunk of villains on this cover who I don't remember showing up at all.
Yeah.
Like
But it's weird. I mean, they include the obviously important ones on the front of this lineup of villains here, ones
but
that are
not
actually part of the
necessarily in the
story.
way you were expecting. Because
Yeah, yeah. So let's get into that. Anyway, yeah. So for review number one, starting up on Lex Luthor, because yeah, we've mentioned quite a few times already. He is sort of the main character here. Um, so yeah, Lex is in a helicopter talking to Thomas Cord, talking
Ford
business deals.
Industries.
Yeah.
Because I found this opening kind of interesting because I'm like, okay, a lot of it's clearly a matter of uh, we're doing, we're doing a story where people aren't necessarily going to be reading the Trinity War. Um, so
I mean, I think the expectation at the time was everyone reading comics, DC Comics at the time should read Trinity War, but you're right. Yeah, not everyone did.
not
um,
everybody did.
no.
Because yeah, so Lex is basically threatening Cord with threatening Cord his entire family um in this utterly suave way. Like he is James Bond villain Lex Luthor
Yep.
here.
The
Uh,
threats are like included so casually in this dialogue here between them. It's really nice. Um, and yeah, as this is happening, the city goes dark around them. The helicopter begins to go down. It crashes, and Lex sort of like scrapes himself out of there. He sees on this like screen and like this phone around him, like basically every screen in the world at the moment. This world is ours. This great message sort of broadcasting everywhere, and that is our opening. Um, I think it's a very different John's event opening. I think it
yeah,
like because it does like it does first off immediately focus the entire perspective of this event onto one character, which I really appreciate. You know, it's Lex Luthor understanding what has happened to the world because we don't see the immediate aftermath of Trinity War. We don't see exactly what happened after Trinity War closed out.
you
Um,
don't. And Jaws keeps that a secret, honestly, until I want to say till right close to the end.
mhm.
Like he slowly peels back the layers.
He
Uh,
tells you like things that like could have happened, but basically, I mean, Lex Luthor being the perspective character who wasn't involved in Trinity War at all, um, you kind of have to take the crime syndicate's word for it. The message is that we have killed your heroes, we've killed the Justice League, and now we have taken over. This world is ours. It's a really great way to open this comic, I think. So then we catch up with Grid, who's sort of obviously the crime syndicate's like eyes and ears throughout this world.
who is in control of every piece of technology on the planet,
Mhm.
uh, and is basically will have we will have control within the hour. Have a nice day.
Yeah, and
Almost immediately before we go to Gotham, where we
yep,
have
and
Nightwing.
yeah, don't you love that suit? Um, Nightwing is in contact with Barbara, of course. This is actually we're actually commenting a bit here in the scene on the aftermath of Death of the Family. and the Bat family's
That's
sort of
right.
response. Yeah, that's why they're sort of like shutting Bruce at the moment. Is everything that happened there? Because the big thing that would be happening in Snyder's run at the moment would be 0 Year. So the last actual event that would have happened in that run would have been Death of the Family, which is really
Yeah.
interesting. So
Yeah. So Dick is taking Victor Zsasz to Arkham Asylum, and he finds the asylum closed. Uh, and suddenly,
as he is attacked by a mysterious shadowy figure with bright white eyes, it's Owlman. I actually have to know, did you know anything at all about the crime syndicate before this?
I really didn't. This was
That's
all
cool.
new to me. Uh,
Nice. I find that really interesting.
uh,
Cool.
yeah,
Anyway,
I had somehow associated the name Owlman for some reason with Thomas Wayne,
mm.
but not that
although
Thomas.
yeah, not the Thomas Wayne you're thinking.
No, like, oh,
Yeah.
that's different. Um, yeah. Um, Again, so Dick is lassoed and
Yep. And
carried off.
taken and said, "You will do." And as Lex is sort of like recovering from the helicopter crash, um,
He sees who he
I love this
thinks
little
is
bit where
Superman.
yeah, well, I love this little bit here in the top couple panels where Cord is like hanging onto the edge of the wreckage, and Lex is like, just quit whining. He's just kind of like dangling for his life there. But yeah, Lex sees who he thinks is Superman. In fact, is obviously Ultraman. Mr. Cord falls to his death, and yeah, Ultraman goes into this tower, extracts some kryptonite from there, and then we go to Central City and we catch up with the Rogues. And this is actually also cool to see because we've obviously, I think also we've read up to a certain point where I think you have like all the context for the Rogues that you would need from
Yeah,
the
I
New
believe
52
so.
Flash stuff. Yeah, I think the last time they would have appeared would have been in the last thing you saw in the Manipul Flash run.
Yeah, because I
So that's
mean,
kind of cool to have.
this would have been in the middle of Volume 4.
Yeah,
But
and I don't think they show up in Volume 4. I don't think. I forget, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, I don't think they show up really. But yeah, so the Rogues are doing rogue things, and they are
but John's also
attacked.
specifically setting up, like, for readers who may not have read The Flash, the Rogues stick together and they care about each other, which is important
Yeah.
to their dynamic. It's going to be important later.
hmm
Because
And look, it's little moments like this that, like, look, you could say anything you want about Jeff Johns. He at least understands these characters. Like, it's really nice. And especially Captain Cold here, who's going to become very important later on. But yeah, the rogues are then attacked by
who they
a
think is the
red
Flash?
by a red blur that look. This first fucking line he has says it's cray cray time. And look, if you don't know anything about this version of the Flash, or rather Johnny, I should say, he busts into this prison and says, "I missed you, baby." We see this little silhouette on his shoulder. I had to know how open you were to the possibility of liking Rhonda Pineda in this story going
Was
in.
I wasn't very open
That's understandable.
initially because, again, if you want to hear my thoughts, listener, on why I dislike this character so much, well, listen to our episode on Trinity War and the Grid and sort of why Jeff Johns makes a big mess there, as he does.
Yeah.
Uh, but
Anyway, meanwhile, in Bel Rev prison, Black Manta is being interviewed for Task Force X, pretty much. And I don't know, it's not a Metaballer here. Just interesting. Anyway, who else would be interviewing people for Task Force X? Anyway, entirely beside the point. Although actually, this is also following up on that one Justice League plot point from the end of Throne, right?
right,
Yeah. Anyway,
yeah, we're just doing a lot of like plot advancements for his larger runs.
yeah.
Um,
But then this prison is attacked by our next two members of the crime syndicate we meet. This is Power Ring and not to be confused with the one from last time on the podcast. This is also Deathstorm.
This is also Deathstorm. That was ever so slightly confusing to me because I'm
I
like,
completely understandable. Yeah, it happens, and they're both just as fun. So actually, this guy isn't quite as fun as the last Deathstorm, but yeah,
this guy's creepier in a lot of ways.
yeah, yeah,
Honestly,
definitely,
like
definitely. But yeah, we
we
then
then
see.
see Ultraman grinding the kryptonite down and snorting it like crap.
Yep. Coming face to face with Lex and then leaving.
I love such a tiny detail. This tiny panel of Lex's eye, like
Yeah,
Lex
yeah,
Luthor is scared,
yup.
uh,
Great moment.
is terrified.
Oh yeah.
Um,
But yeah, then we catch up with some Batman rogues. We have Two-Face, Riddler, Poison Ivy, Scarecrow, and Mr. Freeze all together, working on robbing this place. It seems. And as they're doing that, we're pretty much just establishing different players that we are getting
I
into
think this is
later.
setting up the tie-ins, like other tie-ins.
Yeah, I admit I have not read a ton of tie-ins. Well, see, here's the thing. So there are regular Forever Evil tie-ins, and then there are the Villain Month one-shots, which
I
also
think this is meant to be setting up the Villain Month one-shots.
see a lot. I've read a lot of those. A lot of them don't actually tie into Forever Evil. A lot of them are just New 52 villain origins.
Oh, wait, okay. DC, what are you doing?
It's so weird. I'm not even kidding. Like the Riddler one, there's a Riddler one. It's just a 0-year tie-in.
It's really because I
That's
know
all it
like
is. Like
I
it's
know like all the books at like every book at 23 after 23 got like
yeah,
those
they all have
at
like
least a
point one, two,
23.1.
3, and 4. Well, they don't all have 4 one-shots each,
Yeah.
but
But I know all the Batman books like
yup,
each
they're
had four.
yup.
Um,
I own I think pretty much all of those, which were
which I think that means for
for
Batman
Bat
there's at least 12 issues.
16 because there was Batman Detective Comics, Batman and Robin, and Batman the Dark Knight.
See, the
Um,
Dark Knight is the one I wasn't thinking of.
yeah, the
Uh,
Dark Knight. I think the Dark Knight actually ended not long after the Villain Month one shots came out. So yeah,
that is a shame.
Batman the Dark Knight. I swear was a good title. I don't people overlook it all the fucking time. It's another David Finch thing actually. He wrote and drew it. It's a good run. It's a really good run.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Uh,
Anyway, but
we
going
see
over.
the remains of the Watchtower where a bunch of villains are gathering in what I am like 90% sure was meant to be a 4-page foldout.
It is, yeah, yep, and
Because
it is
this
collected
is,
across 2 separate 2-page spreads in the trade, which is a bit of a shame.
I mean,
Um,
it is still gorgeous. Like,
oh yeah, yeah,
okay, yes, they've done, like, I get why they do this in, like, paperbacks, because it's it's hard to do foldouts in
all,
a paper, like,
all I'm
in a
saying is they
paperback.
keep the fucking fold out in All Star Batman and Robin, and it's like 6 pages of a fold out of the Batcave, and yet they can't put it in here. Like, I don't know. I think it. Look, if you can keep I get it, it's Jim Lee art, but if you can keep it for the fucking shit Frank Miller comic that literally everyone agrees is bad, you can keep it here.
I mean,
Anyway,
they don't even keep it for the death of Superman
they
in the
don't.
in the
Yeah,
in the trades.
yeah,
Uh,
the 3-page spread there. Yeah. Um.
luckily, in
Anyway,
the Omnis, they start keeping some of these as foldouts
well, that's
occasionally.
nice.
Uh, I know the third Sandman Omni has a couple of gorgeous foldouts for the Overture.
Mm,
Um,
that's
uh,
nice.
yes,
Anyway, but
we
yeah,
see
so
some great.
the Crime Syndicate have gathered these other villains to listen to them talk. Pretty much, all these villains are kind of pissed off and want to know what happened. The Crime Syndicate Ultraman specifically arrives and announces that the Justice League is dead and that you're pretty much all under their control now. And the rest of the villains are just kind of left there to watch. And they kill. Who do they kill in the group here?
Uh, it, it's the
Who's that?
Penguin.
No, that's not
I think
Penguin.
it's not Penguin.
No, he's wearing a cape and he's blonde. That's not the Penguin.
Wait, I saw the monocle and was like, "Is that Penguin?" Uh,
Oh no! Oh, they literally call him Monocle.
Probably like a Z-list villain from the
Yep.
Silver Age.
Anyway, they kill
Uh,
Monocle and everybody cries. But yeah, then nobody cries.
Nobody cries.
But yeah, we also get
They
this great
also
little
they throw out like Superman's cape, Aquaman's trident,
yep.
um, to the crowd as proof that they're dead. Wonder Woman's lasso, um, and it's this world is ours. We get a brief uh, moment with Tim Drake and the Teen Titans.
Yep, who
Uh,
are watching this importantly at the moment where they reveal that they have captured Nightwing and take off his mask to reveal his identity to everyone as Dick Grayson. Um,
which very curious. I have to imagine at least some of the villains who see this are like, "Who
well, I imagine most of them, but also, are you aware of where this goes?
is this? How we get like the secret Agent
Yes.
Grayson?
Why, yes, it is.
Huh?
Yeah. Yep. So more on that later.
Was that in its own book or was that through the pages of Nightwing?
That was its own book. It was called Grayson.
Ah,
It was by Tom
did
King,
Night
actually.
did Nightwing not like make it to all 52 issues of the New
No, no, it only
52?
had like 25, I think.
That that feels. I mean, it makes sense if you're switching to Grayson after basically after this point,
Yeah,
but that
yeah,
also feels weird. Like,
yep.
yeah,
But yeah, and also Grayson as a character kind of showed up in a bunch of other things at the time. But importantly, yeah, he had his own title, written by Tom King and drawn, I believe, by Michaela Hannon. So yeah. Anyway, but yeah, Dick's identity revealed. Everybody knows who he is. We see the crime syndicates sort of just unleash all these other villains on the world, and
they call all the villains their secret society, which I think
mhm.
is that. That's how Johns was getting away with this is a secret society event.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
and
I'm going to be honest, I don't think the term secret society comes up again until one of the later tie-ins, like right
yeah, I
near
think
the end.
yeah, pretty much, and then Ultraman, having literally the opposite powers of Superman, is allergic to the yellow sun. So the crime syndicate literally blocks out the fucking sun, and that is where the first issue ends. Yeah, taking us into Forever Evil number 2. Um, so, opening here on Lex Luthor and a dead mouse. I do like these little, like, sort of like inner monologues that open a lot of these issues that are from Lex's perspective here. They're
Because
nice.
Lex is skulking around the sewers underneath his buildings. And we have Otis from the Richard Donner Superman movies.
We do. Isn't that nice?
Isn't that nice? I have a
um,
feeling that Jeff Johns doesn't like the character of Otis very much. You'll see why.
yep. Anyway, the Teen Titans, because we're going to catch back up with them, are sort of strategizing, figuring out what to do, especially after the revealing of Dick Grayson's identity. Um, we get some images of the chaos spreading across the different cities throughout the DC universe: Gotham, Central City, Washington D.C. Actually, I just noticed this the white bunny, the white rabbit call out up there. Actually, I think it's all of those. Oh no, it's actually no, it's just Mad Hatter, White Rabbit there, but also Professor Pig. It looks like, and
And
a lot of fun
Scarecrow.
characters. Yeah.
And
Anyway,
I'm trying to
I
figure out
think
who else is in the background, but it's kind of hard to see.
yeah.
Uh,
Oh no, I think it's a Riddler there. He's got the cane. Yeah, Riddler. Nice. Anyway, but yeah, so we see that sort of like chaos spreading across those cities, and then we get our first crime syndicate meeting. Very similar to a Justice League meeting, except they're all evil and they're all sitting around this table. We get to know a few of our characters a lot better now. Specifically, Johnny, our sort of Flash stand-in, and he's fun. He's a lot of fun.
what's interesting is
Also,
that like there are 7 members, well,
yeah,
8 if you include the grid, um, and they're like 6 of them are then paired off in very interesting ways. Two two pairs being kind of being various romantic relationships, and then one pair being a sadistic relationship.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but poor Power Ring, like
I love Power Ring, man. I love first of all, I love the concept for Power Ring alone, which is simply that like It's a ring powered by fear, but not quite in the same way that like a Sinestro ring is. It's that the user has to be fearful, not instill fear, which is
And then
great. It's
the
fun.
ring is doing basically all of the work and controlling this poor version of Hal Jordan.
Yep.
Uh, uh,
Um, yeah. Especially, I also love like using that fear opposite of Deathstorm here, who Power Ring is very clearly terrified of. Yeah, we catch up then with Ultraman and the Outsider, or Alfred. This universe is Alfred, as we would know. Watching over a hostage of theirs, a prisoner of theirs, bound and tied to this chair. We
they're
find out the
convinced we might
identity of.
need at some point. This is what's called a Chekhov's hostage. If you put a hostage character tied up from a different universe in the second issue of your event comic, they will end up figuring into the resolution in issue number 7.
You are absolutely right about that.
Um,
But yeah, and also we see Owlman and Superwoman here, and also Owlman and Superwoman seem to have a child on the way. um, more on that later.
more on that later. That reveal made me start laughing
It's so
when we get
ridiculous.
to it.
I love it. It is so good. But yeah, so Lex, meanwhile, is uncovering a project of his, subject B0. It's something you really laugh at when you say it out loud. It's subject B0.
Like, oh, it's Bizarro. My brain is like, oh, hi, Bizarro. This is how we're getting the new 52's version of Bizarro.
Yep,
Um,
and it's actually really great. So, but
which
yeah,
is, despite Johns' love of the Silver Age, I'm kind of surprised he didn't do a more traditional Bizarro, like
that's
from
yeah.
like with
I do
Bizarro
like
World.
I do like what he does with Bizarro in here.
Oh yeah, it's a great character. It's just a little different from what I was expecting,
Mm,
uh, especially with just knowing Johns' tendencies.
yeah.
Um,
But
Now we
meanwhile,
get to see the Teen Titans attempted assault on the Watchtower,
yep.
uh, which goes not great.
Nope.
It goes quite
Um,
badly.
yeah.
Uh, all
Uh,
paralleled with Bizarro being brought online, and basically being told, "Just go and kill Otis, like strangle this man."
yep.
Um,
And he
which,
does.
yeah.
Poor Otis.
And then again,
Back on the Teen Titans fighting Johnny and Rhonda. I think this is where you really start to see some of the personality of Rhonda Pineda, or rather, as we now know her, Atomica, in this. We see that sort of shine through a bit more, and there's this great bit where Wonder Girl like has her mouth open for a moment, and Rhonda just like flies inside of her mouth. It's a really funny little moment. But yeah, this Titans fight does not go well because yeah, Rhonda and Johnny
Johnny
win.
Quick basically opens a time portal and sends them all into the future.
Yep.
Um, so bye bye Teen Titans.
See you in the tie-ins.
See you in the tie-ins.
But yeah, we then see Lex suiting up in his green armor and giving Bizarro his suit, which is just a Superman shirt that Bizarro puts on inside out. It's so good. It's such a funny way of like bringing about just that fun little like Silver Age ridiculousness in these characters. Yeah, it's a great time.
And then
But
we begin one of the more emotional threads of the book, ever so
yeah,
briefly.
as we go over to Star Labs, yeah,
Where
where
Silas Stone has locked himself in the Red Room. Um, they have their own generator that is, you know, off the grid. Off the grid.
off the
Like
grid.
I was,
Anyway,
I was halfway through saying that when I realized the pun.
it really is like saying B0 out loud. It's like okay, yep, I get it. Anyway, but yeah, breaking into this red room then is Batman and Catwoman holding the disheveled remains of Victor Stone in their arms, bringing them to Silas, and that is where the issue ends. Which is just a great
This
twist.
big wham line of "You're alive, Batman. Where are the rest of the Justice League?" They didn't make it.
Yup. And now we go into our first tie-in issue of this,
Yes.
switching over to our Forever Heroes trade. We have Justice League number 24. With first off, I love the cover here, the parallel of the Justice League number 1 cover, with the Crime Syndicate
Quite
here.
literally reversed both in characters and
Positioning.
orientation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, seeing
Um,
yeah, going into this,
so the
Ri-
first three issues of this, so the tie-ins are it's a 6-issue trade, and the first three
are
are
really
largely
let's.
focused on let's do the origin stories for our crime syndicate.
Yep.
Um, I will say I think that does mean the third one of this story kind of has to rush a little bit to get the others in.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. It would have worked better if they had dedicated like a single issue to each origin, but
or or even found a way to like make these all just be origin issues
yeah,
because
instead of tying it directly into the event, which like I
yeah,
feel like people would
like
have understood. Like I don't know. I don't think you need to like. See, I mean, I do like the stuff they do with Lois in this, but
yeah, it's a matter of it's sort of that matter of very effective scenes that do these characters. But honestly, those scenes could have been put somewhere in Forever Evil, the event itself, especially that the Lois Jimmy one,
mhm.
um, in this first issue.
Yeah.
Um,
But anyway, let's get into this. 25 years ago, another universe, another Krypton, as it says. This is the Ultraman origin, as we see Ultraman's parents, who are just fucking dicks. My God, I love these guys.
Basically, instead of having one person realize Krypton is doomed, the entire planet realizes it, and they are all fighting over the single rocket to
Yep.
uh, send get off of the planet.
I
Um,
love this dialogue so much. First off, this is the House of Ill, not the House of El, which is just funny. And Kal-Il's father, Jor-El, is going to put Kal in a pod. It says, "Our son is our only chance at revenge on the being that's destroyed Krypton. He better not fail us. He better not fail me. The House of Ill is the House of Strength. Yes, it is, Jor-El. And with the power he gains on Earth, he will rule over the humans. But look at him now, Lara. I can barely stand the sight. He's so frail. Be the strongest there is, Kal-El, or nothing, or be nothing at all. This is your fault, Drill. Shut up and die, Lara." And it's so fucking good. Genuinely
that
just perfect scene. I love that so much.
poor the baby Cal is basically fed this propaganda, um, a la the Donner film.
Yep.
Um, like, and okay, I get what we're going for here. Obviously, then with when we get to Earth in this universe, um,
We see this. I hate to be laughing at it, but
hurts.
but it is kind of funny to see like just how hard Johns goes at portraying the absolute most evil versions of these characters you can imagine. Because yeah, this is an abusive relationship between the Kents, and one could argue on both sides. Because yeah, Jonathan is threatening Martha, and Martha has a knife in her hand, and and then the baby lands, and the Kents find.
Destroys the house.
Yep. And the Kents then find Kal-El, who is eating shards of his destroyed planet, hence, being powered by kryptonite. And Kal-El then threatens the Kents and says, "You two, you will be my parents now." Um, and look, I just want to point out also that in Frank Miller's Superman Year One, it doesn't happen that Superman also kind of telepathically makes the Kents his parents and like owns them pretty much. And like, look, if Johns is saying that's not how it's supposed to be done, I think we should fucking listen to him, Miller. Um,
Yeah, I mean, like, because then within the next two panels, it's like, they didn't last long. I was seven. I tried to escape, so I killed them.
yep.
Like, like it's this is like, yeah, he's evil. He's just evil. Uh, and in being evil, he he met other villains. Um, it implies he helped create Deathstorm. Uh,
Mhm.
he
Um,
used Power Ring.
Yep, and we see we get like these brief like flashes of some origins that we're going to expand on later, mostly for Deathstorm, Power Ring, and Superwoman.
Who is this universe's Lois Lane?
Yup, and it's so ridiculous. I love it. But yeah, then
And
we
something
get
came to destroy the planet, so that's why they escaped.
Yep. And so here we are, present day. The Syndicate have taken over this world, and we see the Grid watching over these things. We specifically go to Metropolis and the Daily Planet then, and see what Lois and Jimmy are up to, and Perry actually, and Steve. And yeah, they are eventually brought face to face with Ultraman himself.
It's again paralleling a early Justice League issue with this one.
Oh, that's right, with the way that Ultraman enters.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. But yeah, Ultraman threatens the planet, of course.
Like
I
he takes a picture.
I love that moment so much, and
And
then just the way
Ultraman's
the
like,
shadow like comes over Ultraman's face. It's so good.
this implication of like he thinks Jimmy just takes pictures in exchange for sexual favors. Like
Yep.
like misreading on a relationship.
Yep.
And Jimmy's camera and hand is just crushed.
Yeah. Oh god. It's so good. Lois, of course, tries to stand up to Ultraman. It doesn't go that great. But we see this great standoff between like Ultraman and the rest of the planet, pretty much. Ending,
and then Ultraman, who has the totally messed up view of his version of Lois Lane, of projecting that on. Well, I've always wanted to pick that Amazon apart bit limb by limb. I'm gonna do it to this Lois
Yep.
because she's a weak woman.
And oh my god, we got transported to 2022 because Black Adam is here, and he's gonna fight Ultraman. Which I mean,
I wonder,
in
I
fact,
wonder if this was what Dwayne Johnson really wanted.
he wanted to fight Henry Cavill as Ultraman, which actually, now that I say that out loud, I kind of want. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, this is exactly it. So Black Adam versus Ultraman, because Black Adam wants to fight Ultraman. I don't know, it's a weird moment. But he fights Ultraman, and this issue ends with Ultraman actually proving more than a equal match to Black Adam, and actually he even quotes Superman from Justice League #1 way back when with the "I don't break so easy" line.
Yeah.
Yeah. So cool, great to see that, and that was our first tie-in.
It's clear that like at least these first 3 issues are like of the tie-ins are kind of doing some parallels to the first volume.
Well, I mean, the cover alone kind of tells you what you're in for with that. When they're like, this is just going to be like a parallel to the early days of this run, so it makes sense.
Yes.
Getting into Forever Evil #3. Let's do some recapping because now the Justice League is actually starting to re-enter the story, or at least some very select members of the Justice League, and reminding me immediately of that horrifying image of the Grid literally separating from Vic Stone. That's just so good. Ugh, love it. But we do see the fallout, or at least most of the fallout of the end of Trinity War. Seeing how Deathstorm used the Firestorm Matrix to trap the League and everyone there inside of the Firestorm Matrix, which is just a really cool way of doing that and handling that, and which does make sense, with Batman's last line, last issue, saying the League is gone and they didn't make it. In a way, he's right, and one could assume that they're dead because they're all inside Deathstorm. So anyway. Back to Star Labs though, because Vic's remains, again, horrifying remains, left here in Star Labs. Silas, Batman is like asking like Silas to find a way to fix him, and then Batman is told about the revealing of Nightwing's identity. And I love this moment so much because you can actually, the way Finch draws it is really great because Batman's mask is kind of damaged, so you could see his one eye through the mask. And seeing that reaction to the Nightwing reveal is really, really good. this is also, unfortunately, one of those moments where you're reminded of how much the New 52 continuity reset did to continuity, because
Yeah,
Bruce and Catwoman don't know. Well, obviously he knows Catwoman is Selena Kyle, but Selena doesn't know that Bruce is Batman at this point. And I mean, look, if you were going to keep any story for the New 52, because they did randomly select stories pretty much to still be canon in the New 52, you could have at least kept Hush. Come on.
you could
Like,
have. You could have.
you could have totally kept Hush.
Especially because Johns clearly wants to make the Batman stuff in this story like a family affair. Like,
Yeah.
but he quite can't quite do that because Selena doesn't know. So Bruce can't tell her. Um, and Bruce is convinced Nick's not dead, and it's only
Mhm.
that he's a friend. So then we
Yeah.
catch up with Lex Luthor.
Yep.
Uh,
Who's being given a flower, a dead flower by Bizarro. And it's sweet. I do love these interactions though, of just like Lex like trying to just get Bizarro to understand anything. It's nice. It's really lovely. Yeah, there's actually like a nice connection between them. But then we're gonna
because
catch
Lex
up
is
with
trying to broadcast a signal to try to get any sort of out, and he just cannot get Bizarro to put the satellite in at the right spot. So
yeah. But then we catch back up with Super
Ultraman.
Ultraman and Black Adam. Okay, now I'm going to read some on the podcast now, actually, because I had reread these trades before you had decided what order we were going to cover them in on the podcast, and so this is actually a weird moment for me because I had read, because I didn't know what order you were going to choose, so I had read Forever Evil as a whole first, and then I did Forever Heroes, and so this is actually kind of weird now actually seeing this in the proper order, but
Yeah,
it
because
works.
it just assumes that you read the tie-in.
Yeah, yeah, and so here's Ultraman and Black Adam just fighting out of nowhere, which actually also comes out of nowhere in the Justice League issue. So maybe it's actually not that much better. So anyway. So there's this great moment though where Black Adam uses the word Shazam to bring this lightning down on Ultraman, who for a moment turns into a fucking Frank Miller drawing.
Yeah, and rips out his larynx, so
Yep.
he can't say Shazam. Uh,
Mhm.
Also common
Which
because
actually, looking
Shazam is
back on this now, is really cool. Given a certain reveal later on, Ultraman's reaction to the word Shazam. Um,
yeah.
so that's
That's
cool.
Shazam. How silly. Um,
How silly. So, meanwhile, Lex and Bizarro still are
Lex is working out that he's staying out of direct sunlight. Why? Why would he be doing that?
yeah.
Anyway,
Um,
we now get a fantastic sequence with the Rogues.
mhm.
Mainly because the Rogues refuse to level Central City.
Yeah,
They're like, "No, it's like we are criminals. We are just going to kill innocent civilians."
yeah. And they're
And
being
you
threatened
have
here by
Destro and Power Marine basically saying, "No, do it. Just raise everything to the ground."
mhm.
Uh,
I do also love
Empowering,
the way that Johns writes the Power Ring talking to Power Ring. So like power levels 15%, you idiot. You know, it's just like it's a funny little moment and shows like I love the sort of like parasitic relationship between them. Really, it's cool. Um, yeah, Deathstorm then threatens the rest of the rogues, specifically Captain Cold here, who looks into Captain Cold's DNA and sees that oh, yeah, these rogues are like fused literally with their the genetic material of their weapons. So like the cold gun, he takes the power out of using the cold gun from Captain Cold. And so Mirror Master gets him up. The rogues make a quick escape or attempt to as Power Ring shatters the mirror that they escape through, and the rogues get caught in it. Most of the rogues get caught in it, but Captain Cold is able to escape just barely, leaving him on the other side and getting directions from Mirror Master. It's a great sequence. It's a really great sequence,
yeah,
actually.
directs us to find Lex and Bizarro.
Yeah.
Uh,
Who meanwhile are striking a deal with Black Manta, who joins their little group here. Then Captain Cold joins up as well, and so we have the beginnings of our little squad here. Oh, actually, they also find the beaten, bloodied body of Black Adam, and so we have the start of our little sort of villain squad here with Lex, Bizarro, Black Manta, Captain Cold, and Black Adam.
Yes.
Black Manta now having oh no, he doesn't have the trident, right? No, it's just his trident. Never mind. But yeah, that is our lineup.
I'm pretty sure that is the trident because he did
The
get it
trident?
in
Am
the big
I?
meeting
Okay, you're right.
in the
Yeah.
last in the
But
last
yeah,
issue.
so we had this issue on our big group shot of these guys together, and that takes us into our second tie-in with Justice
Second
League
tie-in.
number 25,
which is
So
called Forever Lost.
yeah.
Oh.
So
Which-
let's get an Owlman origin.
Oh joy! This one was
This one's fucked up. I love this one. Yeah, this is that Bruce Wayne has a brother named Thomas, who you might be familiar with if you're caught up on your New 52 continuity. But yeah, basically it is that the only people being threatened tonight, the only person doing the threatening this night in an alley is Thomas Wayne himself, or little Thomas Wayne rather, threatening his
Thomas
parents.
Wayne Jr. because Thomas Wayne Sr. in this universe is a serial killer, like
Yep.
surgical serial killer, and you know we have we have the scene in the alley. It's Thomas Jr. who is like, no, I actually want to be good, so I'm going to kill my parents with my little brother's help. But his little brother is like, no. So Martha's like, well, I'm just gonna beat it out of you. And Alfred, watching on, fires fires three shots.
Yep. Killing the Thomas and Martha Wayne and little Bruce Wayne, leaving Alfred and Tommy Jr. here to lead a life of crime fighting. And I love this. Also, actually, I do love the Owlman connection made even better by the fact that this is when you're taking into account spoilers for Court of Owls, the Thomas Wayne Jr. sort of the New 52 being Lincoln March, the Owlman, for the Court of Owls, the Talon for that. At the end of that story, I kind of like that connection they make here. Could have been by accident. I doubt it, but it's cool. It's really cool to have.
Knowing Johns, I'm pretty sure I'm fairly certain that that's intentional.
Yeah.
Because we see, we then see.
Oh, also, this was because it was Ivan Reis on pencils in the first issue, right? Yeah. Now this is Doug Mank actually here on pencils here. It's great. Anyway, sorry. Yeah. Then we go to Our Earth and now, and we see some gangsters here being attacked by Owlman. Owlman killing them. Does he kill them? I think he kills them. Pretty much kills them. Yeah, he kills them. Big time.
He kills them. He's basically taking out the rich gangster families of Chicago. And reflecting on the murder of his family, like quite literally burning them in acid to death. There's no jokers here.
Yeah, I will say I'm a little sad that that you ended up watching Crisis on Two Earths after this, because like to me the James Woods Owlman voice is just the Owlman voice, and so that's all I'm able to read this character with anymore.
I was just reading it with sort of a Batman voice, honestly.
That's fair. I don't know. I think Owlman's a bit too ridiculous to have a full on like Conroy Batman voice, but yeah, I don't know. Anyway, Owlman threatens the rest of these gangsters, and then leaves. Imprinting an owl symbol on one of their hands. Yeah, then we go back to the grid and Alfred and Owlman catching up with them. Owlman goes to see Dick Grayson, who they have still captured, and we see a bit of a backstory here. Or actually, no, are we? This is not. Hang on, am I reading this right? Yeah. Sorry, this is the
crime
syndicate version of
Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
Whose Owlman is imprinting on our version of Dick Grayson, uh,
Mhm.
particularly because the Flying Graysons were the owners of their own circus that, they inherited from Tony Zuko after John Grayson murdered him. Also, this version, Dick has a sister, uh,
Yep. Who died?
who died. Uh,
And I love this panel at the bottom here of the, Thomas's hand on his shoulder here, and Owlman's shoulder on our Nightwing here. It's a great little parallel. I really like that. But yeah, Owlman talks to our Nightwing, our Dick Grayson.
and he wants this brotherly relationship that he clearly cannot have because he doesn't know this Dick Grayson.
And
Uh,
also, he's a fucking psychopath, so there's that.
yes.
Um,
But
but
here's the thing, his universe's Dick Grayson was also probably a fucking psychopath.
yeah,
Like,
exactly. So he
because let's be honest, Johns is going by mirror universe logic here. Like,
Mhm.
all the goodies are baddies and all the baddies are goodies.
Yeah.
Uh, in
But
this
Nightwing is able
universe.
to break out of his chair for a moment here, try to attack Owlman, who's able to still get the jump on him. But Owlman, we learn here, apparently wants to stop the crime syndicate himself, and so he asks Nightwing. He's like, "Hey, will you help me stop them?" And Dick says yes. More on that later. But in the meantime, we see.
I will say, what's great about
Oh
this
yeah.
is it is playing off the idea that tell Dick that Bruce is dead. Dick becomes putty in Owlman's hands.
Mhm.
Because yeah, I mean that's the way to do it.
That's how you break him. Yeah, exactly. Um, it also kind of like, and especially when you take the sort of larger New 52 continuity into account, like building off of Death of the Family, like Dick hasn't seen Bruce since then. He doesn't want to see him, doesn't want to talk to him, and so Dick is kind of left with this guilt inside that that is how he left things with Bruce, and so
Something
thinking
that
that he's dead,
he
that's
did
that's
not
a
want. Yeah.
yeah, something that causes him to just sort of break down like that. It's a really great character arc for Dick there, actually. Yeah, I really love that. But also in this moment, we see listening in is a Superwoman who smiles, and in the business we call that foreshadowing, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Something like
Anyway,
that.
something like that. Anyway, time for Forever Evil number 4.
I will
As we get
say,
into this.
I am just sort of like I have the two trades laid out on top of one another, so I can like
As do
go
I.
back
As
and
do I. And
forth.
you have like you're using the open trade as a bookmark into the other open trade, right?
Basically, yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Um,
Yep.
but it
Just
doesn't
so we're
quite
on the
work
same
because
page here.
one of these trades is considerably thicker than the other.
Yeah,
Um,
it works sometimes when you're at certain points of the book, and other times it just doesn't. So, anyway, great scene that opens this issue because
Fantastic.
one of the nice things actually about rolling back Batman Hush is that you get a great scene like this where Selena gets to see the Batcave for the first time, and John's actually, it's worth noting, just has a really nice knack I hadn't really noticed before for writing Bruce and Selena's relationship.
Yeah,
Even
honestly,
when it is guarded behind a Selena that still doesn't know Bruce's identity yet. But
it's interesting because the way Johns writes romance is doesn't feel like it's would fit nicely for the Bruce Selena romance, but it kind of works.
it does. It totally works here, I think.
Like his romances are usually more quippy, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Especially like the way he characterizes Aquaman and Mira, and then of
Yeah.
course Hal Jordan and Carol.
Mhm.
Even though they're not quite in a romance where we are in John's run, it's so clearly romantic dialogue. That's besides the point. So
Yeah.
listen to
It's
our Green
great.
Lantern episodes for more of that.
Yep.
Um,
But yeah, Bruce shows off a bat cycle to Selena, and then
as
shows
well as
off.
some old suits.
Yep.
Uh,
Um, then we see the
his
contingency
backup
plan.
plans.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
this also not at all controversial ever things that Bruce has. Yeah, Kryptonite ring, Sinestro ring, lightning rod from the future for Flash, a mother box for Cyborg. Um, they don't say, they don't say
Let's
what
say
Aquaman's is. And then of course for Wonder Woman's, the thing with Wonder Woman has always been that there is no backup plan for Wonder Woman. Um, So yeah, I don't know. It's something we could talk about all day, I'm sure.
What
I
I find
never,
interesting is that the way Johns presents it is that it's like, these aren't gonna work. Like like, he doesn't outright say it, but he's like, if you read in subtext, like, these are not going to work on the crime syndicate.
yeah,
And
yep.
I think Johns is trying to also say that these backup plans, at least here, are also kind of silly and
Oh
something
yeah,
that probably wouldn't work on the uh, on the actual Justice League. I will
yeah,
say, um, I kind of wish the dialogue was slightly different on uh, the after Kryptonite. Bruce says yes, but not. It's not the only ring I have. Just for a moment, I thought, did this fucker have other Kryptonite rings somehow? Like
no,
John's.
no, 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 no. He's referring to the Sinestro ring in the very
Right,
next panel.
the very next panel, yes. Um, I didn't look ahead. It's
It's the
funny
next
read.
fucking panel, Jacob.
Yes, and I sometimes focus on panels individually, and I had
How?
my
They're
note.
small panels, Jacob.
I had my notes over the other panel when I was initially
Oh
reading
my
this.
fucking god! What? The next panel is just Bruce proposing to Selena. um,
I wish.
no, we have plenty of that coming up in King's Batman. So
King's Batman.
yeah.
In the
Um,
future
in the
of,
future, eventually, at some point in the future of Fresh Face Comics, and
if I
also,
had to guess,
I think
probably.
I think also for a moment there in my mind, I had rationalized that we already got to the proposal, but we haven't. So that's that's
We have
that's
done one episode on King's Batman.
it was a big episode. It's our longest episode of the podcast. So anyway, moving on, getting into our next scene where catch up with Lex and his little secret society here, trying to
Basically, defibrillator on steroids for Black Adam.
hey, you know
Uh,
what, actually, how did Black Adam come back?
Defibrillator on steroids.
No, 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 how did he come back before? He was dead at the end of the Shazam backups.
That's a very good question.
I wonder if was there a Black Adam villain month one shot that probably explained
There
this?
could have been.
That might have been it. I could be
Um,
totally missing a point here. Anyway,
did they ever collect the Villains Month?
there's a giant fucking omni of them. Yeah. There were a lot. I have most of them actually because they were a big thing when I got into collecting comics. They were a big thing because I have a bunch of they did hollow covers, like 3D hollow covers for them, and I have a ton of them. They're really cool. Um, yeah, especially the Joker one. The Joker one's fucking awesome. But anyway, yeah, trying to revive Black Adam pretty much, and the rest of the secret society, especially Captain Cold, is finding a way to sort of like arm themselves.
Trying to basically find an older cold gun of his,
Yep.
basically. Uh,
Meanwhile, in Utah, Metallo is here, and he's wreaking havoc on this city. He gets a visit from Ultraman.
just rips out his kryptonite heart and
Yep,
for a nice after dinner snack.
yep.
Um,
I kind of love that. You know what? Actually, did that kill Metallo? Did New
yeah, that's
52?
the
I was gonna
implication.
say, I'm trying to think now. I don't think New 52 Metallo ever showed up again after this. That's fucking great. Anyway, goddamn, Convergence was really coming up soon, wasn't it? Anyway, actually, no, not soon. This was a good like year away, but
Actually,
Convergence.
this is a couple years before the end of the New 52,
Yeah,
probably.
well, Convergence was a year before the end of the New 52. So
Ah, I
yeah.
think we're getting though we are getting fairly close to where they. I think we're at least in
Yeah,
terms of here.
Convergence was, in my opinion, I really liked Convergence. Convergence was kind of the thing that was like, it was, it kind of, it was the thing that finally put a stop to the Dan DiDio weird hard line that he placed on DC continuity with the New 52. And I can never be more thankful for that. And Rebirth, you just solidified that even more. But Convergence, I think, was really the gateway drug we needed for that. But I totally want to talk about it someday because it's a really fun event.
I'm
But
sure we will when we.
well, here's the thing: for Convergence, we need to do the Earth 2 series and Earth 2 World's End, and then Convergence, because the main characters in Convergence are the Earth 2 Justice League. So it's a lot. There's a lot. It's so much, dude. You have no idea. Anyway, um, getting back into this, after Ultraman's little kryptonite snack, he is visited by Superwoman, who is hitting on him, sort of, and that's about that. So, also telling him what Owlman is doing with Nightwing. But anyway, meanwhile, in Central City, we catch up with Power Ring and Deathstorm, and Power Ring contacts the Grid and tells him, what did he tell him? I'm trying to
Basically,
remember
to
this.
get Atomica and Johnny Quick to Central City like immediately.
Oh yes, okay.
Uh,
Yes.
'Cause, yeah, it doesn't really have cohesion. They're kind of already fragmented, like
Mhm.
almost immediately. Like
Yeah,
apply the tiniest bit of pressure, and they start to fragment. Uh,
yeah.
uh,
But
Meanwhile,
yeah,
in the
uh,
sewers,
in the sewers. Meanwhile, in the sewers, the secret society, this sort of secret society, is traveling through the sewers and trying to find a place to go. I forget where they're trying to go,
basically,
but
any of Luther's old hideouts.
yep.
Uh,
And oh yes, they get to this one hideout. It just so happens to be the exact one that Batman and Catwoman are already in, which is really funny. But Batman with his mother box, of course, and this party is sort of crashed then by Power Ring, who has put together a squad of other villains. The only one I can immediately recognize is Deathstroke. I forget who the others are here, actually. Yep, I
One of
got
them is
nothing.
like Copperhead, I think.
Is the one
Uh,
Copperhead?
the Snaky Boy, I'm guessing Copperhead. Um,
Maybe.
one of them, okay, one of them is called like, um, God, what is she called? She's like Shadow Thief or something.
Okay.
Um,
Who
neither of
cares?
them are the big
Who cares?
guys.
Who cares? Batman puts on a Sinestro ring then, and it looks fucking awesome.
Yes.
It's great. And I mean, look, it's the thing that Johns was always kind of doing with the Green Lantern run with Batman. Is that
It's the thing with
it's
like Johns desperately wanted to write this at some point.
yeah, it had actually, like, here's the thing, like, we had the moment in the early GL run that he did, where the ring is kind of forced on him, but having Batman actually choose to use this sphere is pretty fucking great.
I think it also helps that this is a new 52 Batman whose characterization, whose John's characterizes very differently than pre-New 52 Batman. Uh,
Yeah.
I think
And having him,
partially because of executive mandate.
yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean,
Uh,
hey, if Scott Snyder was able to sort of break through that, I think Johns can as well.
yes.
Although Johns, I think, very much had a much closer eye on him from editorial. So
Oh, I mean, Justice League was supposed to be the flagship book of the New
yeah,
52,
I mean,
right?
he was writing three fucking flagship titles. Well, actually, he was off of GL already at that point, so just
Yeah.
two. Actually, no, are we past his Aquaman? No, I think we're still at
Uh,
the very end of his Aquaman
we're
run.
at the tail end of his Aquaman.
Yeah.
I think by the end of by the end of Forever Heroes, he's definitely off of Aquaman.
Yeah.
Um,
Anyway, but
but
yeah,
yeah,
so and then we end the issue crashing into all of this. Well, actually, Power Ring steals the yellow ring from Bats and
because the
crushes it.
yellow ring can't hurt Power Ring,
Because
or so
yeah,
he thinks.
fear, yeah. However, he's about to be proven very wrong because crashing through and ending the issue here is fucking Sinestro, looking all fucking parallaxed out, and it looks fucking awesome. And look, you messaged me earlier today that you had finally finished Forever Evil, and you were like, "Man, it's so good. It's great to see Jeff Johns really into writing this story." And I was like, "It's really just every time he gets to write Sinestro, he loves this character.
He does, and
Just
it's clear
fucking
there is some character arc in this Sinestro that I'm missing context for.
very much so.
Uh,
Yeah, this is the outcome of the well, sort of the outcome of the end of the New 52 stuff, but even then, it's not super important. We'll get there
we'll get
eventually.
to it.
They don't. It's what's nice is they don't actually comment on it too much here, so
No, they
so
don't.
it works out. Yeah.
Uh,
Anyway, on to we have 3 Justice League tie-ins in a row here.
yeah, which is
Yeah,
I
and
will
look,
say it's like
they definitely didn't come out this way, but this is the reading order. Like, this is the order they should technically go in. So
yeah.
it's the
Well,
order I gave
I think it's
you.
also because like
There
we
was a
have
big
one
gap in
final, yeah, we have one
publishing.
final origin issue, and then we have the first two parts of it, basically a three-parter,
Mm-hmm.
that are, uh I don't it's not that they don't have anything to do with what's going on, it's more that
Well, even then, like this, what is it? The second part of the next arc is basically a big flashback issue,
yeah,
or is it the
I mean,
first
a
part? I
big
forget which one. It's one
it's
of
the
them.
second part, it's the
Okay.
second part. It's a big important flashback issue because
Yeah. So there's a reason it's a big pause in the main story. But still, it's a big pause in the main story. So let's focus on
it's
Cyborg though, because I really want to talk about Cyborg here. Because I know
yeah.
you had issues before. I like to think before this. That
Well
regarding Cyborg's use in the John's Justice League run up to this point.
well, yeah, because after Origin, they didn't John's I don't think John's necessarily knew what to do with Vic.
Hmm.
Um, like, he was kind of sidelined a lot, um, especially through Villain's Journey. Understandably during Throne of Atlantis, because that was the big Aquaman story as the focus. And then especially during the Grid and Trinity War, like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, because like, again, there's the horror of losing one's body twice
Mm-hmm.
in the Grid. Uh, and then, Trinity War happens, and there's basically Vic doesn't do much. Like, he gets taken over at the end, and that's basically it. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but this is sort of not an entire redemption, but it helps. It goes a long way to help.
I think
Uh,
giving. I mean, in a weird way, splitting Vic from the Grid's body and writing the entire Justice League out of the story is really the thing that does this version of Cyborg the most good, at least development wise, because it forces Johns to just solely focus on this character and tell the reader what he actually wants to do with the character, outside of just a very different origin when it came to that first 6-part story arc.
yeah, and
Um,
it eventually happens that he wants to give Vic some agency back in his disability, which is interesting. Um,
Well, yeah,
I
because the
like the way it
implication is
plays
that
out.
pretty much Vic's body was almost always possessed by the Grid,
Yeah.
and
And
so
the grid, it's made very explicit here is that the grid is not from the Crime Syndicate's universe. It's from
mhm.
this universe.
Yeah, and they use
Um,
the Grid to get here, and so yeah, this arc. I mean, spoilers coming up here is this is about Vic getting a new body and a body that is his own, and I think that's a really important part of his arc. But in the meantime, we got some origins. Because yeah, this is we open on a flashback to Origin with a Vic's new body at the time, the body that would eventually become Grid. And so we see Grid here learning more about the crime syndicate. We see him and Alfred together, sort of reading up and watching. I don't think they're watching actual footage of their origins, but for the sake of telling a story in a comic, yeah, we get the visual representation of their origins. So we start off on Power Ring here. Is actually a version of Hal Jordan, who's kind of a creep,
like
spying on Carol.
quite literally, quite literally, the panel here. I swear he's drawing over that scene from Psycho, like
Ah, yeah,
with the
totally.
peephole.
Yeah, yep,
Um, uh, and you know, he's just pathetic. Power Rangers
yeah,
just so pathetic.
yeah. And
Claims he's
so
not a
he's,
coward, but he is a total coward.
mhm.
Um,
And then he's being reprimanded by who's meant to be here? I don't think they say actually. Um, actually, no, sorry. It's Carol's dad. Never mind. Yep,
it's
this is Mr.
Carol's
Ferris.
dad.
Yep. And so Carol's dad is immediately eviscerated by the power ring. It burns him alive, kills him, and takes Hal Jordan to the dying. I'm guessing this is still Abin Sur. They don't actually say, do they?
They do say it is Abin Sur, um,
Oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, yeah.
because
Okay. Yep.
he is the keeper of the ring of Volthoom. Um,
Which is important to other New 52 Jeff Johns just GL things actually.
is it
Um,
really?
it is. Keep the name
Okay.
Volthoom in mind. Keep it in mind is all I'm going to say.
We'll
Um,
just we'll just take that away to use later.
yeah,
Um,
big time. So,
And almost here's the thing. I love the scene of Jordan getting the ring because it's like it's immediately a parasite. Like
yep. And I fucking love
immediately his
Abin
hand
Sur's
starts to deform.
and I love Abin Sur's reaction to it, just like laughing that he's finally free of the ring. Fucking fantastic moment. I love it. This is one of my favorite origins here. Actually, just it's the most. Well, this and the Ultraman one, I would argue, are like the most directly like Black Mirror versions of what we already know.
Yeah.
And I think this one especially hits because it's John's writing a scene that he had already written a million times before in his GL run, and having this twisted version here is really nice. But yeah, so then Grid does some looking into Johnny Quick and Rhonda Pineda. Who are sort of this Bonnie and Clyde. They're these
Oh, good. I'm not the
criminals.
only one who was like, "This is Bonnie and Clyde."
Oh,
But worse.
totally. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, total Bonnie and Clyde thing. You know, they're just regular criminals before, and
They murder and torture the goody versions of the rogues, like
yep, which
the
is
cops.
who are all cops. Yeah, the
And
rogues are
Cole.
cops. That's great.
Oh,
And then
Johns never change.
it's so good. It's so good. He knows how to perfectly write this sort of mirror universe story. It's so good. Basically there's this storm because you know it's the Flash's origin, but it's with criminals, and so Rhonda and Johnny are caught in this storm,
Storm
and
still at the top of Star Labs.
yep, Rhonda falls into into this like lab area where this equipment gets destroyed during the storm, and so the storm gets gets both Johnny and Rhonda, and they get powers, and
Like Rhonda is just in a random. Ray Palmer, the original Atomico, had an experiment. Yeah, Rhonda getting powers feels kind of like an afterthought. Like it's like
you
John's
just
like
it's kind of like John's like had the idea for the Johnny Quick origin, and then was like, okay, well, I got to explain Rhonda while I'm here, you know, since she was always part of the crime syndicate, and so we're there. We get that. So,
or else I'm like completely. I'm completely out of time. And then we get the Deathstorm origin, which is
well, did we get that first? Oh, yeah, we do get the first. Yeah, you're right. Yep, the Deathstorm origin. Yes.
at least just kind of fucked up. It's like Professor Stein found a homeless man, made them both Deathstorm. That's it. It's a
That's
single
all. That's all it
page.
is. It's simple, but it's just fucked up enough to tell you
It's
exactly what
simple
this
but
version
effective.
is. Yep.
Uh,
Um, then we get a brief moment on Superwoman, who Grid has tried to find files on, but those files have been deleted.
Delete it.
So more on that later. And then Johns reminds us that there is a hostage in a chair. And
A hostage in a chair that isn't Dick Grayson.
yeah. And with a bag over his head that we do not know the identity of. And so we end the issue in Star Labs as Silas is still trying to do something about his son here. And
Silas is also just having a breakdown of like, can't I can't do this, like because the hero like there's this great the heroes had to win every time, the villains only had to win once, and they did. And you know, Vic, who's been kind of stabilized, like they didn't win, not yet. So
And I
it's
love
great.
the way they draw his Silas's reaction to like Vic talking for the first time. It's so good. Bring us into our next tie-in though. This is Justice League number 27. So getting into this one. We
A
open
brief Doom Patrol appearance.
yeah, brief Doom Patrol appearance, which put a pin in that.
Oh, okay, good. Because I was
Yeah,
like, what?
they're coming back in the next volume. So put a pin. Put a pin
I
in
was
that.
asked, I was kept asking like, why is this here? Like,
Yeah,
why are you here?
they're
Is
coming
this
back.
just John's wanting to do more world building? Which, like, I wouldn't say no.
I mean, partially,
Um,
yeah, but yeah, they're coming back next time. So put a pin in that. But yeah, we get Johnny and Rhonda here, going after the Doom Patrol, and that's the opening pretty much. Actually,
basically,
we do get some more. We actually get a little like Niles Calder appearance as well. I forget, you know, like pretty much nothing about the Doom Patrol, right? Except for that
except for
the New Teen Titans appearance.
except for the New Teen Titans appearance and the Suicide Squad appearance.
Oh, that's right.
The Doom,
Oh God, I always
yeah,
forget
the
that
Doom
Suicide Squad.
Patrol.
I always forget that fucking Suicide Squad issue exists. Ugh.
Yeah,
God.
remember the Doom Patrol has shown up before. We are
Yeah, yeah.
aware of
God.
them. Um, but
Anyway,
yeah, brief Miles Calder appearance, potentially rebuilding. I'm guessing the brain. Uh,
we'll see.
Potentially.
You'll see. You'll see.
So
But yeah,
I'm glad this isn't just a tease for no
yeah, no,
reason.
yeah, it's coming back. Don't worry. They do
And now we
things.
get
They
one of
do
the
things.
best sequences in the entire 2 volumes.
Yep.
Honestly, like
I
uh,
think we're both suckers for literally any time anyone writes the Vic and Silas relationship really well.
yes.
Because yeah,
I don't
it's
necessarily
great.
know if Silas has earned the total forgiveness that he gets here. He does kind of get total
Silas is
forgiveness.
much more a dick in the New 52 than
Yeah,
in like the
like
New Teen Titans. But also in the
he
New Teen Titans, they always like kind of wrote him to die pretty quickly. So there's that. This is a character with much more longevity, and yeah, I think at this moment it's pretty great.
uh, yes. So and so like we'll say that even like Silas is still being that paternalistic dick of like talking over Vic for a decent chunk of it of you know
Hmm.
yeah, like I can't do this to my son again. It's just gonna kill him again. Uh, and then there's like, no, you need to protect me. Also, I know that you have some fucking secrets. That this isn't the real Red Room. There's a secret second Red Room
Yep.
with
and and Vic is pretty much the one that like convinces Silas to actually like bring him, to like work on him again and like bring him back.
so the second secret Red Room.
Yes, second secret
Uh,
red room. Ignore probably obvious cut there, listeners,
um,
because there was no convenient cutoff point.
there was
Anyway,
no great. Um,
anyway.
basically it's so there's all the tech that we need to rebuild Cyborg. So there's also no tech from Apocalypse,
Hmm.
because that's what it was. Also, I think Jeff Johns just wanted to redesign Cyborg in a little bit, and you
It's
can
a
see
great
why.
design.
Because this
It's a
is
great.
this is kind. It ends up kind of being the design that the DCEU would use, uh,
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
which I'm honestly a little mixed on the design. I like my cyborg designs to have a little more human than
Mm.
this one. I will say
I
that the
mean,
dialogue building into it is just great, uh, because like it's the whole idea of trying to like find that balance between man and machine. That
mhm,
Cyborg has his own identity as a cyborg, and something that like the rest of these tie-ins and the final issue of Forever Evil itself, issue 7, will kind of go into very nicely. Uh,
mhm.
yeah,
Yeah,
what I'm
it's
trying
great.
to say here.
Yeah, it's great. And then also we had this great sort of like moment between them, where like Silas and Vic actually hug for the first time in a long time, and it's really nice. I like it. But yeah. Anyway, we then go over to Vic going to multiple places actually. He's just going around stopping
He's
some
trying
of
to
the
find he's trying to find this guy called Magnus because one point Just League had trouble with some android called Platinum.
well
Gotta
we
be
had
honest,
met we had met uh one of them before in the grid.
yeah, very briefly. Not not quite explained because um Jeff Johns is bringing back the Metal Men.
Hmm.
That's what he's doing.
Yep.
Um, this takes a turn. Like he finds Doctor Magnus, who's just immediately can't help you. The Metal Men were a failure.
And we go into our second to last tie-in with Justice League number 28, which actually probably like my favorite cover of the JL tie-ins. It's just a really nice cover of showing the new Metal Men, and it's fun. Great Ivan Reese cover. Um, yeah, so we open with Vic visiting Dr. Magnus, and we basically what this issue is it's a big old flashback because we're gonna get the New 52 origin of the Metalmen.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. They didn't know who the Metal Men were. Like, like not really. Like I hadn't heard of them. These are some obscure DC characters.
Very much
Uh,
so, and yeah, and
but there are a number of
it's
those obscure DC characters that oh my god, Jeff Johns, you clearly love these characters. Uh, and would use them anytime you get the opportunity.
mhm,
Um, so yeah, turns out that yes, Dr. Magnus is actually the first to create artificial intelligence. He was working for a military organization uh, in his own lab that he basically took over for himself
mhm.
and took as much money uh, and is he's very much people suck, so I'm gonna make my own people out of
As you
robots,
do.
as you do, um, by creating these responsometers um, that, when combined with a different vat of molten metal, will create a robot that will be under my control. Uh, and then shut up when I don't need them around, which is so funny to me, just because then what happens is that immediately goes wrong, right? Like
Mhm.
we create the Metal Men. Uh,
And first off,
and
I love their personalities, like, right off the bat. I love the way Johns writes them.
it's
Um,
all it's doing the thing of we're making them the personalities of the metal, sort of in that
you
like
know how metals
alchemical
have
sense.
personalities.
Well, it's
I get what you mean, but
it's this alchemical
it's
sense.
funny.
It's this sort of long tradition of characterizing elements and characterizing characters in terms of elements. It's a weird, long speculative fiction tradition. Um, but yeah, like lead is the slow one. Iron is the blunt one. Gold is the malleable one.
Mhm.
Tin is perfectly fine and pretty useful. Mercury is the quick liquidy one. And platinum is the female. Like
The
platinum as
female.
is the girl. Um
Yeah.
for reasons. And like Magnus is like, why are they programmed so quickly and immediately? Uh they are completely different. This wasn't supposed to happen. And sinning
Mhm.
to me. Um, but not in like a Terminator, let's take over the world. It's genuinely let's help. Like so much of this issue works because of the banter between the metal men.
Mhm.
Like
It's fun. It's really, really fun. Yeah.
it's let's
Um,
get these very simple personalities to clash with each other very nicely. Um,
mhm.
But then we have to have a little bit of plot. So we have our government oversight coming in who's like, well, they're here. We want a field test. Uh, we have a target in Kondak that we want to eliminate because we're the United States government and that's what we do.
Mhm.
Um, and so these metalmen are going to be assassins for us. And then the metalmen say, nope, we're not going to do that. We're leaving. Like, like it's like, yeah, we have our own personalities. And what's the U.S. government going to do to stop like giant metal robots who have
Exactly.
superpowers? Uh, what they are going to do is steal one of God, the responsometers and dropping it in a vat of chemical waste as a test
And it's
because
gonna turn into a giant fucking monster
we're
that's
working
going
under
to
silver. We're going to work on Silver Age logic here, Joey.
I
That
d
that is how.
I do love the design of the giant chemical waste monster. It's really fun, actually. But yeah, so it's going to threaten the Metal Men, and the Metal Men
Who
will
go to
soon.
Magnus's apartment because he's their creator, and he seems actually sensible despite everything. Uh, so yeah, so they then get attacked, and the rest of the issue is a fight sequence, which ends up destroying, basically using the metals to cause a chemical reaction to
And
destroy the creature,
yep, it
and they're gone.
absorbs. Yeah, absorbs the metal Metal Men, and so back in the present day, after sharing this harrowing tale, Cyborg is still going to ask Magnus to bring the Metal Men back, and so that is where the issue ends, and that ends our very long interlude of the main story, bringing us back to
I will
Forever
say,
Evil.
this is probably where the like tie-ins really disrupt the pace.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
no
Well, I
Sinestro.
do like the second story. It does feel like the most disconnected from Forever Evil. Um,
Yeah, part of me like
and it's great, and it's great. Like it's really important, like character work that Johnson's been needing to do for Vic for a while. But it's just
it's trouble that
it's
there's nowhere else to put it. Like
yeah,
you
yeah,
gotta put it there. So
yeah,
Forever Evil number 5,
yeah.
where
Let's pick up with Power Ring, Afraid of Sinestro, which is
for good
fucking great.
reason.
Oh yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, so we get into our big fight between the Secret Society, Batman, Catwoman, and the villains that Power Ring brought with him that I'm
Yeah.
forgetting most of. Anyway, yeah, fight ensues. Meanwhile, Sinestro is still going
So
after
a
Power
decent
Ring.
chunk of this issue is just an extended fight scene. Um,
Mhm.
because yeah, I mean that's what Johns can rely on when he's writing a bunch of books is to do an extended fight scene with some very important character beats. Um, mainly because we do have to actually get some Bruce Wayne Lex Luthor banter.
Mhm.
Because as characters, they can be very interesting foils as both billionaires with power. Um,
You're gonna love what Johns does with the Bruce Lex dynamic in the next volume.
oh, I am looking forward to it.
It's so
Like,
fucking good. It's so good. But yeah, so yeah, we get some fun interactions between them. We had a great sequence of the Power Ring yelling at Power Ring, the character, as he's being chased down by Sinestro. Um, then let's see. Oh, it is Giganta here. Okay, gotcha. She was just not being drawn in full before, and I could not tell that it was Giganta. Okay. Anyway, yeah, she's going after Black Adam, and Catwoman, and Black Adam is able to like send her out of a building. Um, Captain Cold fights whoever the
Shadow
fuck this.
Thief?
What is this one? Shadow. Okay, yeah,
Shadow
sure.
Thief.
Yeah, sure. I know DC Comics characters. And Black
I
Manta.
think this is like a Justice League Dark villain, maybe? I don't know.
And I've read Justice League Dark. I mean, it's been a while, but I could just be
Yeah.
completely forgetting who it is.
Whereas
Anyway,
Lex and Bruce are fighting Copperhead. Um,
yep. Deathstroke takes on Lex then, which leads to a fun little interaction between them.
and
Um,
then we just get some great Sinestro fight
oh, I
being like,
mean, Sinestro cuts off fucking Power Ring's arm, which is such a great moment.
it
Again, just
also is like, I'm disappointed that this other universe would create such a pathetic Hal Jordan.
yep.
Like,
It's so good. Um, yeah. Oh, I
uh,
love it.
cuts
And
off his
then
arm, and the ring says, "Post irreparably damaged," and Power Ring thanks
scanning for new hosts,
Sinestro.
scanning this awful place, as it says, which I love.
And then Power Ring
Um,
just thanks Sinestro for basically his own death.
mhm.
Um, yeah. Um, so we have, Bizarro taking down Blockbuster. That's who that giant is. That other giant character
There
is.
we go. Oh, okay. Oh, wait, I know Blockbuster. Okay, yep, you're right. Anyway, but yeah, so we're able to defeat all of these villains here, and
We get
meanwhile
a
we
brief
catch up.
moment in the Batcave where Ultraman and Superwoman are trying to find the Kryptonite ring, which is gone. Uh, and Ring being dead means that whatever destroyed their world now has a link to this world.
Mhm.
So, I mean, the big ending of this one is there's a little bit in between that we need to talk about, but the ending of this one is this big universe is starting to rip apart on a
Yep.
3 thread.
Mhm. Well,
But
essentially, the
before
rest
that,
of this issue is is establishing sort of the going forward dynamic between Bruce and Selina and the rest of the villains here. Especially
This
with
very
the
uneasy alliance where Bruce is on the back foot. Like, we know people like to say that Batman can be any DC character.
maybe
That is not
individually, I suppose you
that
can
is
make that argument.
that is a maybe individually with several asterisks.
Yeah.
Um,
But
like
there's this
like
great moment
he could
where
probably
Batman Batman stares down all these villains. This lineup, by the way, is Deathstroke, Black Adam, Sinestro, Lex Luthor, and Bizarro. And Batman says, "Once
as well
Nightwing's
as
safe,
a couple page earlier, Black Manta and Captain Cold. Like
yeah." So Batman's like, "Once Nightwing's safe, we take down the Syndicate, but all of you are going to work within the parameter I set and follow the orders I give. If we're working together, I'm in charge." And they just all kind of look at him, and Catwoman's like, "Batman, look, they're in charge. It's
Bruce,
shut the fuck up."
honey, the man that I love and will definitely marry. Um, as long as DC editorial doesn't interfere.
I fucking hate
Um,
you.
look, Selina, where look, here's the thing. Here's the thing. For all of Bruce's intelligence, he can be a real idiot sometimes,
It's
and
true.
that's
It's true. To think that Bruce thinks he can talk these guys down. Yeah.
maybe I feel like Bruce could take individually Luthor, Manta, and Captain Cold.
Sinestro if he's
Randomly.
got a ring with him.
He doesn't have a ring with him, so no. He cannot take
He had a
Sinestro
ring
down.
before Power
He
Rangers
had a ring,
started. So yeah.
but he doesn't have that
Um
ring anymore.
yeah.
Then we end
Um
the issue proper on something is breaking through the universe with another fold out spread that is across 3 pages. Um,
yeah.
that my terrible Doctor Who brain was just only thinking of Stephen Moffat's Crack in Time.
Just a little bit. Just a
Just a
little
little
bit.
bit.
But anyway, this brings us
Uh,
to we're actually almost at the end of this. This is Forever Evil number 6
Six.
with a cover that draws attention to Nightwing, and I don't think he's not in this one that much, but whatever.
Well, look at the way he's positioned and what's around him.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It's the cover for a reason, for a big reason. Also, I think it might be my favorite cover of the event. Honestly, like
Interesting. I think I
I
disagree
don't know.
with that, but interesting.
I think Finch just does it so well. Like, and the use of colors and the just beaten and bloody Dick Grayson is really good.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway, so we open the issue. Lex and Batman strategizing with an army of villains behind them. Just sort of preparing for the coming battle.
so assault
Um,
the Watchtower. And then we get some recap of
I can't remember because I've read all of our Justice League issues for this episode and the next already. Do we see what happens with the Power Ring in this event? I forget.
I don't think so.
Okay, you're gonna find
I
out.
don't remember seeing
Um,
it. Uh,
okay, you'll find out next time.
yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, so we see the crime syndicate sort of assessing the situation after the crack in the universe has sort of shown up. Let's see.
We're beginning
We
our
see.
assault on the Watchtower. This is round 2.
Yep.
Mainly as we're paralleling a lot of characters. Are obviously our regular villains, our syndicate characters trying to go alone to get inside. Uh, Basically, because then as soon as they get in, we find that Nightwing has been hooked up to some sort of machine.
A very
Uh,
bad looking machine. It's worth noting.
Very bad looking
Um,
machine.
yeah. Then while Alfred is checking in on the tied to a chair hostage, the unknown identity hostage,
Well,
Black
my
Manta
brain
comes
was
in.
like, is this going to be the other universe's Dick Grayson?
That would be interesting. But
I was wrong.
yeah, you're very
It actually
wrong.
is makes plenty of sense.
Yeah, yeah, especially for what this entire event is. But
Yes.
yeah,
But Black Manta gets to stabbing.
yep. Kills an Alfred, which is nice.
It's nice to see Alfred die. But I never thought I'd be saying.
Anyway,
Why did you get quiet? Like, what?
that was just a weird thing to hear you say.
Look, this Alfred was awful. Like,
I know. It was just weird to hear out loud. I don't know.
it's something I never thought I'd be saying, but
Yeah,
okay.
that's why I was taken aback. Yeah. That was weird. Anyway, back with Dick Grayson.
And we
Bruce
get
goes,
father-son bond. Like,
you
there's
know,
there's a countdown that surprise, it's just a giant bomb
Dick Grayson is a bomb.
in more ways than one.
I knew you were gonna say that. So, we are attacked by the rest of the crime syndicate. Johnny, Superwoman, Owlman, Deathstorm, and Ultraman. And are we missing anyone? Oh no, Grid. Oh, Grid's gonna be dealt with in tie-in, but still.
Grid is
Yes.
dealt with in the
So,
tie-ins, and obviously Power Ring has already been dealt with. I
yeah.
also am convinced this was a fold-out too, like,
It looks like it. Yeah.
just
Yeah, I
with the
think
way the
so.
bars.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe
That
not,
would be
because there's
that would be a 3-pager.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Anyway.
so So,
So
we actually get more action.
yeah.
Um, Action
That's all it
outside.
is. Well, action for like another 2 pages as Batman is trying to disarm this bomb attached to Dick Grayson, and
we
then
reveal that the hostage is someone with red hair. Um,
whose
and
mouth has been taped shut.
interesting that. Um,
Who Manta and Cold take the initiative to remove said tape. And I love this build up so much because it works especially on reread when you know what's coming. But
yes, it
yeah, then
does. Um,
Batman is trying to disarm this bomb. I think
I love the Bruce Dick relationship here because it's like
yeah,
Dick is just
it's
like, no, get out, let me die.
yeah.
I you would never, you're not abandoning me. You never have, you never will. Basically, my dad, even though I'm not going to call you dad.
So good.
Um,
Love it. But yeah, then more fighting amongst the rest of our villains. I would say heroes and villains, but it's all villains. So
well, because Lex Luthor then shoots Batman in the back.
mhm.
Catwoman tries to stop her, but Bizarro grabs her.
Yep.
Um,
Uh,
so
Captain Cold fights
Luthor,
Johnny. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Luthor then kills Dick.
Yep. For a moment. Captain Cold fights Johnny Quick and freezes his leg and kicks it the fuck off. And God, I love that moment.
It's very satisfying because Johnny Quick has been
Johnny Quick has been the most annoying of the crime syndicate.
good. I'm not the only
um,
one who's like, yeah, he was an annoying motherfucker.
yeah, I mean
Um,
he's fun to read because he's the most annoying character here. But yeah. Uh, then Batman is pissed at Lex for trying to kill Dick, but really this is I mean, well, actually, no. This twist isn't coming yet, does it? Yeah, whatever. Anyway, yeah, kills Dick. Supposedly kills Dick, but we find out who this hostage is then as
shouts Mazass.
Mazass, I guess. It's the backwards of Shazam. That's all
It's
it is.
Shazam, but backwards.
It's Shazam backwards, because of course
The
it is.
prisoner is free.
This is in
Um,
fact we learn Alexander Luthor. So good. So good. Such a great twist. And he is this universe's Shazam or Black Adam, what have you. And Batman goes after our Lex in this time for supposedly killing Dick Grayson. And that is where the issue ends. Well, the issue ends with the reveal of Lex Luthor, but still, you get the idea.
the issue ends with a ton of chaos
Yes.
because Johnny Quick
Bring
is bleeding out on the ground.
and
Thomas is running.
so obviously it's the perfect time for a tie-in. So let's
Which, like,
do
yes, where else are you going to put this tie-in?
yeah, so
Because
I mean it makes sense because we're cyborg news off here. But
where
anyway,
Cyborg is,
Justice League 29 here with another cover that I actually really love because I like seeing all the Metal Men as the Justice League here. It's fun.
yes, it's very fun.
Yeah.
Um, so we open with the Metal Men being remade.
Yep.
Um,
They're all
which
brought
I love that
back.
we can take a moment. That despite everything, does take some moment where it's like, hey, wait, the last thing we remember is dying. Um, and they don't like turn on their creator. They're like, "Oh, well, thank you for bringing us back." It's like, well, yeah. But also, if you die, you're probably going to be dead for again. You're probably going to be dead forever. Um, and um, they then see Cyborg and think he must be a metal man. Um, except for Mercury, who is like, "Oh no, there he's going to merge us with human beings and make us monsters," um, which is very funny. Again, the banter here is great. Um, we get an explanation of Cyborg's backstory. We get the we finally get the Trinity War like catch up of who the Grid is and the whole
Mhm.
kit. Because
Yep.
this event has been going on for like 6 months at this time, right? Because
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
yeah. Uh, so Cyborg's going to basically he's going to fight the Grid on his own terms. Um, it's also especially interesting because the Grid throughout the last couple of issues of the tie-in specifically has been trying to feel thing like
Mhm.
the Grid has no feelings as like an artificial and desperately wants to feel. Um, and a lot of this issue then becomes action of luring the Grid out into the open. Uh,
Yep. Using the Metal Men then to help fight the Grid as well.
turns
And
out the
then a
Grid
punch.
cannot see the metal men because
Yeah.
they are just
And
metal. It's not.
yeah. And then also involving a bunch of other villains, more Secret Society villains here, which is an odd moment. And also some
Honestly,
fun
I
faces
think
here.
it's again. I think this was the Death Channel was like, right. I promise a Secret Society event. They're gonna fight in the last issue of a tie-in.
Yep. And um here's Dr. Hammond and and Jinx and Gizmo and Doctor Psycho and just
Echo.
a bunch of random villains here. Really random villains here. Actually, mostly Teen Titans villains. Now that I look at it, but
I
yeah,
wonder if Johns
um,
wanted to write something with the Titans and just
it's
didn't. Like,
possible. I mean, also I don't know what the Titans Forever Evil tie-ins were, but anyway, entirely beside the point. Yeah. So actually, then we get this great little sort of like uh computer scape like fight between Cyborg and Grid.
classic
Cyborg using
90s
his
cyberscape, which is where
oh yeah.
Cyborg essentially is like basically lets the Grid monologue about how you need to face that you aren't real, you're some horrid machine. uh that and again tries to physically rip off the cybernetics in this cyberspace, um
Mhm.
all before Victor basically has to come to the knowledge that basically stop monologuing. I'm neither. I am a cyborg. Quite literally, is the big
Yep.
culmination,
He's
and it's
yeah, it's
very
he's the whole thing that
satisfying.
he's the bridge between human and tech. It's cool. It's a really cool moment, and it is what defeats Grid in the end. And
Yes.
as we wrap up here with Magnus and the Metal Men and Steve Trevor and Killer Frost show up,
Yeah.
and then a bunch
Basically,
of
like,
other
hey,
villains, and Cyborg's like, "You guys handle this. I'm gonna go to the Justice League," and
surprise! The
that's
Justice
where
League
that
are
ends.
alive. I don't love the ending of this issue. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, yeah. I think there
It's
was. I think okay. I'm genuinely forgetting, but I think there was a Metal Men book that this like directly led into. They got their own book then.
okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what this led
Yeah.
into. It was like an actual Metal Men book. Um, and also I have to fucking laugh at the fucking electrocutioner being here. I don't know if you know who that is,
You
but
don't.
maybe if you had continued playing the Arkham games, you would, and you would be laughing at his appearance here as I am. Entirely beside the point. Actually, no, it's not. He's right here. And also Parasite's here, so that's kind of fun. But also, that's a weird last issue. Let's get into our actual last issue
Last
here.
issue.
With
Forever
Forever
Evil
Evil
number
number
7.
yeah, number 7 with let's finish this off. So yeah,
I think this one's like a double. This is like the
it's
longest of the
definitely a
issues.
double, yeah. It's a big boy.
Uh,
But yeah, Lex at the mercy of Batman.
and I'm like, oh, It's like, yeah, if anything could lead Bruce to kill, it's the death of a Robin.
Yep.
Uh, it's the death of one of his children.
Yep.
Um,
But yeah,
I love that Selena is just like, you have a lightning rod from the future. Maybe do that to bring him back. And then we kind of get the twist. Well, not immediately. We really go outside to where Ultraman is fighting Alexander Luthor very briefly. We're
but really,
paralleling
we
scenes.
cut right back immediately then to Lex revealing that he really just he had to make the machine that Dick was attached to think that Dick was dead, so he made him flatline, and so now he's bringing Dick back.
That's why he covered Dick's mouth to force him to swallow this pill that was going to basically bias his heart. Uh, and so it's like he's actually going to die if I don't get this adrenaline in him. Um,
Yeah,
so he does, and Dick is back, and they hug, and it's great. Then we have Bizarro saying like,
Bizarro hugs
"Hug."
Lex
Bizarro wants a hug.
after seeing Dick and Batman hug. Bizarro hugs Lex,
And Selena's like,
which
"Oh,
I
you and
love.
Bizarro are so cute together, Luxie." Um,
Then Cyborg shows up because he just got back from some tie-in issues, and he's here to fight alongside Bats and Catwoman and the other villains here. And we then catch up with Ultraman and Deathstorm, who are going
we also
after.
now get the real proper like, okay, so the Justice League is still alive. They're inside Firestorm. We have to find Firestorm because
Mhm.
it's honestly, despite like the wording being very specific, the end of issue 2 makes you think the Justice League is actually dead. Like, like that it's just Bruce and Vic that got out alive.
Mhm.
Uh, surprise, surprise, they didn't. Uh, so we also have Bruce and Lex shaking hands as they're going to split, and Lex pickpockets a certain kryptonite ring.
Yep, just a little something, something. Um,
Nothing
yeah,
bad can happen there.
yep, nothing.
Um,
Yeah, this is a surprise tool that we'll use for later. But yeah, so Ultraman and Deathstorm going after Alexander Luthor, who it turns out
we have this big twist. Oh
this
god, this soap
insane
opera
twist
bullshit
that
twist.
like is so stupid. You actually have to love wholeheartedly. Like you can't hate this twist.
It's
It's so good.
surprise. The child is Alexander Luthor.
Superwoman's
Um,
child, that is.
yes, the unborn
And
child,
Owlman thinks that it's his. And, oh my god, it's
and
fucking
and
insane.
and it's also have it's implied that this person's Lois was just fucking everybody. Like,
Yeah, pretty much. Because yeah, there was definitely there. I mean, we knew her and Owlman were, and Alexander, and there were some heavy implications about her and Ultraman, and yeah, what the fuck? Anyway,
anyway,
yeah. So, taking Dick then away with Batman, Catwoman, and Cyborg, transporting him to this sort of like safer facility where Firestorm is being held. We're gonna try to get the League out of Firestorm here. But meanwhile, this fight is ensuing with
Crime
Alexander and
Syndicate and Alex
Ultraman.
Luthor.
Yep.
Uh,
Um, Superwoman is fighting Firestorm as this is happening, and Alexander then joins that fight and crushes, not Firestorm, Deathstorm, and crushes Deathstorm's head, and causing Deathstorm to explode and cause, I'm guessing, a nuclear reaction. We then see the other leaguers like communicating with Batman and Cyborg from inside of the actual Firestorm.
specifically John Jones,
Yes.
who it's interesting with the
Telepathy and all that.
telepathy. Well, and the fact that John Jones started in the New 52 as kind of a villain. Uh,
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit.
uh, but also, Double Man is here to he's come for Dick Grayson.
Yep.
Uh, but
And
meanwhile, we have, again, paralleling back with, again, uh, the action happening. Uh, we start to have villains start stabbing each
Bizarro
other in the
joins.
back.
Yeah, Bizarro joins the fight then with fighting Alexander Luthor. And Alexander is actually able to kill Bizarro in this genuinely sad scene as Lex pretty much almost cries over Bizarro's dead body.
He truly has become Frankenstein.
Yeah. And there's even this great moment where, like, Captain Cold is like, it was just a monster anyway, and Lex is like, but he was my monster.
My monster.
It's so good. Beautifully just melodramatic. Johns knows exactly what he's doing. It's so good. But yeah, back with the Crime Syndicate, Ultraman going after Superwoman and Alexander. I really don't know what else to call this character other than his full name, Alexander Luthor.
That's kind of how he's referred to.
Yeah. But yeah, so meanwhile, Owlman is still going after Dick.
Because Owlman thinks that he could have the brotherly relationship with this universe's Dick Grayson.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he can't.
Meanwhile, Sinestro is fighting Alexander, and so is Black Adam then, who shoves the lightning rod into Alexander, causing Black Adam to be able to hold on to Alexander, say Shazam, get Alexander and Superwoman at the same time. Which actually doesn't do much because it actually just powers Alexander because it's not the same lightning, I guess.
Because we work on reverse logic, I guess.
So saying Mazass is not the same as saying Shazam. And so best moment in the whole for Lex here. I fucking love this. Alexander going after Lex. Lex is able to use this lightning rod as well, and because he has the same voice as Alexander, he says Mazass, and that causes the lightning to come down and get Alexander, and Lex is able to kill him. And my fucking god, it's so good. It's such a great moment.
And then we immediately parallel that with the sun coming back, and
depowering Ultraman, of course, and then breaking the matrix that all the Justice Leagues were hidden inside of Firestorm. They're all able to get back out.
Lex putting Kryptonite ring,
and then just leaving Ultraman in his misery. And then, actually, no, I lie. This is actually the best moment. Rhonda Pineda is looking for Johnny, and Lex is like, well, he's dead already, and you started all of this, Atomica, and I'm ending it. And he just fucking steps on her.
Now,
I need to know how gratifying that was for you specifically.
Oh, I was just like, thank God this bitch is. You know what? Jeff Johns has created a lot of characters with potential. It's so nice to see this character whose potential was ripped from her meet a sticky end.
I mean, she's at least fun as Atomica.
Yes, she is fun. It still doesn't make up for Trinity War.
That's fine.
Trinity War
I don't think it was as bad as you're making it out to be. There's good stuff in Trinity War.
Yes. But there's also frustratingly bad stuff that sticks in my mind more sadly.
That's entirely understandable.
Yes. We also have the problem of, hey, there's a sliver of kryptonite in Clark's head.
Yep, and so Lex Luthor is gonna save Clark's life, Superman's life, and so he does, and so Lex is actually seen as kind of a hero in this moment.
Because he did save the world.
Yep, in multiple ways. It's great. It's really, really great. Again, I just really love that we're doing both this and Williamson Superman at the same time because, yeah, we're dealing with good guy Lex all around, it seems. And also, everyone should just read Joshua Williamson's Superman. It's fucking great.
Sometime later, the villains meet on a roof, and basically the idea is that a lot of their records have been wiped clean.
Yep. So go do whatever you want, you crazy fucks.
Most of them fly off.
And then Captain Cold is left there. He's like, I wish I could fly.
Aren't you, Manta? Black Manta's gone. Turns out Black Manta was found assaulting someone at a sailor nearby, but uncharacteristically left him breathing.
Yep.
Uh,
And so Lex and Captain Cold are left behind, but again, put a pin in that for next time.
also, gave back Aquaman's trident with a note saying, "I'm glad you're not dead."
Yep. Again, no greater hater in life. And then we end on this great little moment between Batman and Catwoman here. Still not fully revealing the identity of Bruce to Selina, but it's a nice moment all the same. Get another great moment between Dick and Bruce here. And then again, back on hero Lex Luthor, who meets with young Ted Kord, and decides to
sending money out to Deathstroke.
Yeah, well,
young Ted Kord.
Yeah.
And,
that's really Lex Luthor in a nutshell. Is writing out money to Lex Luthor to Slade Wilson, and then be like, Ted, let me make up for your dead father. So
honestly, it's like, yeah, like I was like, huh. He's like, like this would be the perfect moment for Lex to be like, I'm just taking Kord Industries out from under you. It's like, well, no, actually, I can't take it from you. Father wanted you to run it, so you're gonna have to do that now.
Yeah. And it's good. And then also is this great moment of Ted saying, like, everyone's right about you, Mr. Luthor. You're one of the good guys. Great moment. And so we see Flash and Cyborg cleaning up the city. We see Owlman still out there somewhere.
Ultraman is being a crying baby in the corner.
Good. And Superwoman is locked up and is still pregnant with the baby. She says it kicked, and we'll get back to that. And Lex is working on, it seems, another clone, another B0. And it'll take another number of years for this clone to be ready. And then we get a great little reveal here. Actually, well, also two great reveals. Lex first off calling his sister after some time. We never commented on that because they mentioned that before in the story, and now
they mentioned
the real version of this here. Yeah, but yeah, again, we'll talk about more about his sister next time, actually. But Lex has put together that Bruce Wayne and Batman are one and the same. Great moment. Again, put a pin in that for next time. It's really great. It's really, really great stuff. And then we see a little bit between the Justice League here. And
the idea that, hey, there's only one being in the universe that has the power to destroy the world. The ones that brought the League together for the first time, he's still out there. Darkseid is returning. And ending on a big that not only that someone is coming for Darkseid. That is the Anti-Monitor.
We see the Anti-Monitor, yeah. So, and that's sort of our big thing. We won't come back to the Anti-Monitor for a while yet.
I imagine that's not until like.
I mean, yeah. If we're coming back on, then yeah. If we're talking about Darkseid and all that, it's going to be a Darkseid War thing. So,
yes.
But yeah, more on that when we get to that. And that was Forever Evil and Forever Heroes, but mostly Forever Evil. That was that. So, thoughts? General closing thoughts?
Yeah, it's good. It's quite good. Not the best thing Johns has ever written, per se. Like reading this right after Blackest Night, which is literal peak Jeff Johns' step down. Honestly, it might be my favorite part of his Justice League run ever since.
That's understandable. I can see that. For me, this and Origin are still pretty neck and neck. But
yeah, it's nice that it's clear that Johns is going somewhere. Like, and again, just like we had a lot of those last couple pages which were teasing things to come, but they were teasing things to come after the story had ended and stopped. The day is saved. We can take a breather.
Mm-hmm.
I hope we get at least an issue next time or two, like at least just a little bit with the characters, just to let them be characters for a little bit.
I'll say that the next volume is more like two smaller story arcs than like a bunch of stories. But again, yeah, it's definitely much smaller scale than we've been dealing with from like Trinity War on. So yeah, we'll pick up with that next time. But we did also watch. Well, it's not really adapted material, but we were doing Crime Syndicate things, and I figured, you know what? There's a movie out there that does all Crime Syndicate thing. It's an adaptation of a Grant Morrison story, but that is beside the point because it's Crime Syndicate is the point. And we watched. You watched, I should say. I haven't watched it in a while, to be honest. But Justice League: Crisis on Two Earths, one of the early DC animated films.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid film. I got largely
You
hung up on the fact that it's so clearly meant to be the Timverse cast, and then it isn't. Which may kind of was like a total hang up for me, but honestly,
you got really hung up on that. Like
yeah, I don't know why. James Woods as Owlman, however, I will
James
agree is
fucking Woods as Owlman.
is great casting. He's chewing the scenery.
He is.
Um, I
He
will
also just
say,
plays the insanity of Owlman so perfectly. Like just his whole
yeah,
yeah, just his whole idea of like it's just I can do literally anything I want because even if I fuck it all up, there's another version of me out there somewhere that succeeded. It's great. It's just
yeah.
it's really
Honestly,
really great.
kind of surprised that the film works well with the whole. We're gonna do all it takes is one successful multiverse destruction to destroy the
Mhm.
whole multiverse.
Yeah,
Um, I
it's
will
cool.
say, um, like the Lex Luthor plot is interesting. It's a very fun film. It's a
Yeah,
fun, solid time.
it's a good
Um,
time. And you gave it what? Fucking 6 out of 10. Fuck
yeah,
you.
6 out of 10, 3 stars.
It's not. It's like
It's,
an 8 out of 10. Come on, it's great. It's a great time.
it's pretty good. It's good. It's
You're
solid.
stupid.
Um,
Anyway, 69, 69, 69, 69, 69, 69,
um,
69, I think. I don't think we need to do promos.
we probably should though.
Okay, fine. What do you got going on?
At the time of listeners, my blog has been um, doing some reviews as well as reviewing Star Trek: The Animated Series. I'll
It's true.
just put out the Lorelei signal.
Yes. Did
Um,
you actually watch the end at the time of recording this?
Not yet.
You should
I
do
haven't
that.
had a chance. It's been crazy weekend so far.
Yeah, and then next week we have more Tribbles, more Troubles, which is a really great time. So
Oh, that's that. I feel like that's going to be very fun.
it's very
Um,
fun.
Uh, Also, my YouTube channel has been doing media reactions to the latest series of Doctor Who, which has been just great, like
Really great
really
series.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. It has 3 more weeks left at releasing. I hope one of those weeks is good. A little concerned about the finale. A
A little bit.
little bit. But yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Yeah,
Uh,
we also have a Star Trek review on my channel, and I do with my brother. We same thing, animated series, Lorelei Signal, Tribbles, and Troubles, and all that good shit. We've also been releasing R2BD. We have a lot of episodes. We had an episode just come out recently talking about Bad Batch season 3 and Dark Force Rising and all fun shit like that. And we have an episode coming up later this month where we're talking about Tales of the Empire, the new series of shorts that came out, as well as Shadow of the Sith, which is a great fucking book. Oh my god, Jacob, I'm probably gonna have you do that one soon. That was a really fucking good book, Shadow of the Sith. But we did all that and then we also have another one coming up after that because the Acolyte's coming out, and we're gonna do some High Republic stuff for that, so that's gonna be super fun. We also have Breaking Brian, which is a series that exists that I do with my friend Brian, and we have one episode left, and I don't know when that last one's coming out. So watch that whenever that's out. Also, check out Fresh Face One Shots. Fresh Face One Shots that we do. We've been covering Superman by Joshua Williamson, which we mentioned a couple times throughout this. Batman: The Brave and the Bold by Various, and Wonder Woman by Tom King. So those have all been
we and
really,
I
really
think
good.
we can announce that we are most likely going to also be covering the starting this month technically, uh, DC's Absolute Four, the 5 issues of that. Um, I believe the first of that's supposed to come out this week.
Oh yeah, it is later this month. You're right. Wow, yeah, you're right. Jesus, yeah, this month, Absolute Power begins. Yeah, I think you also cut out a little bit there, so that's why I was confused.
Oh,
Anyway, Absolute Power is coming out soon. The summer event of the year. We'll see what happens. It's Mark Waid. I imagine it's going to be pretty good. So, yeah, check all that out when that comes out. And think that about does it. As always, books that we covered today and books that we're covering next time, we'll have Amazon links in the description below, as well as our link trees. That'll all be down there. You can check us out there wherever you want to follow us. And I think that about does it. So thank you all so much for watching, listening, wherever you're listening to us. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. Wherever you're listening to us, be sure to subscribe, leave a comment, reading, whatever the fuck you're doing. Subscribe to Bloodhead Studios. Now I'm done. Until next time, this has been Joey Morgan.
Jacob Leclater.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.